pastor from Methodist Church of the Good Shepherd in Kearney, Arizona. If you would please stand if you'd like to join us.
Thank you very much, sir. Heavenly Father, distinguished visitors, elected board, nonagerians and above, all of us. We come together in the historical Pima County Courthouse right here in Florence, Arizona. We focus our intentions to resolve our differences. Among past local exemplary achievements, our city predecessors were able to stop time at 11:44, and the rest of the world doesn't seem to mind. As we assemble in this venerable courthouse today, we come before the eternal presence of our spiritual Father, He who holds time in His hand. We recognize His sovereignty over all things, and we ask for divine guidance, especially in governance of our individual lives and the operation of our elected government. Grant us, Lord, the spirit of unity, understanding, and compassion as we decide matters that impact the lives of those we serve. May your heavenly guiding light and loving concern be the foundation of all of our actions. Lead us to seek common good for all. Bless this meeting, Lord, with your spiritual presence, and may your wisdom illuminate each one of us in an atmosphere of respect and cooperation. We pray for our nation, state, county, and town, and all inhabitants, that each one may thrive in prosperity and harmony. Give us the courage to see and solve our daily challenges, trusting in your divine providence. The good people of Florence and Pima County stopped time at 11:44 for their own purposes, and doing so gave this community lasting joy, togetherness, and a little humor. This strength and wit can certainly tend the rigors of everyday business. As today's meeting begins, we commit ourselves with integrity and dedication, and we ask for your divine guidance and enlightenment. In your holy name, Jesus Christ, we do pray. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you. If you're ever driving through Kearney, Arizona, Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, drop in and see us. Amen.
Thank you very much. Would you please stand for the pledge as Supervisors sturdy?
Would you join me for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, welcome to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors. It's March 20, 2024. It is 9:34. We are in order. And I would just like to say that Chairman Goodman is not here today, as he is off traipsing about. So, first item of business is call to the public. I have, let's see, first up I have Stephanie Joyner.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Stephanie Joyner. I'm the Executive Director of the Pinal County Historical Museum, located at 715 South Main Street in Florence. And I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for your 2023-2024 nonprofit grant funding. And I want to highlight some of the great things the Pinal County Historical Museum has done last year in benefit of Florence and Pinal County. So despite our new post-pandemic trends with reduced visitation and reduced revenue, this is our new normal. We opened 2 major permanent exhibits last year. One was our mountain lion and natural history, and the second one was an update to our outdoor exhibit areas. And we also offer a fabulous First Saturday at the Museum program. This is when we waive all admission fees every first Saturday of the month. It's our family day. And we offer rotating kids activities and story time. It's a great time for everybody. So I wanted to share Aiden's story and his museum experience with us. So Aiden visited the museum last year with his 4th grade class, and one of the activities they did at the museum was they submitted a name for our mountain lion naming contest. And guess what? Aiden won that contest. So you have to come to the museum and see our mountain lion, Maverick. So Aiden brought his family back to the museum on one of our family days, and we got a lovely photo of his family, which I will leave with you. I have this great report that highlights all the stuff I'm talking about. And Aiden went one step further and left us a Google review. So I want to share Aiden's Google review with you. My experience. My name is Aiden, and I'm the one that named Maverick the mountain lion. While I was there, it was super fun. There's lots of fun things to do there. You should see for yourself. So this is what we're all about. Aiden will never forget his experience and that he named Maverick the mountain lion. So we are just here to foster the next generation of museum lovers and humanities lovers and just people that care about history. The museum is also out in the community whenever we get the chance. We open our doors to the intercession students on spring break and summer break. We participate in the junior parade parada, anything we have the time for. And this is also community awareness and community engagement to help us evolve to serve the ever-changing needs of our community. We are also stewards for Pinal County's history. Things we've recently come in is the Pinal County attorney's dockets from the 1940s to 1960s. We have items from the Pinal County Sheriff's Department and so much history about this building that we're standing in today. Our outdoor exhibits also highlight county-wide stories. We have Coolidge, Superior, Queen Valley, Valley Farms, just to name a few. And one of the other big things we did this year was a robust marketing efforts. I'm all done? Or can I go for a minute? Okay, I'll be very quick. So that's promoting tourism within and outside of Pinal County. And those visitors will visit the museum, eat, and shop, which generates tax revenues for the county. So I thank you for your time.
Ms. Joyner, thank you. And thank you for your time at the museum. I understand you're leaving us.
Yes,
Yes, I'm sorry to hear that.
thank you so much.
You bet. All right, next up we have Mr. Tom Bando. And just for the record, if you could all please just state your name and generally where you live, that would be great. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. My name is Tom Bando. I live at 31650 South M. Bar J Ranch Road. It would be District 4. We're way in the south end of the county. I'm here to bring some attention to what we feel are illegal subdivisions happening in our area. There are two locations. Both are being essentially perpetrated or put upon the neighborhood by White Buffalo LLC and Greenlight Go Properties Solutions LLC. They seem to have already installed roads, cul-de-sacs, culverts, buried infrastructure, and also are essentially forming a water company. Their community water service is called Tortilla Foothills Water LLC. Our main concern, though, would be that they are subdividing lands in such a fashion as to circumvent the county rules for subdivisions. Under Code 4.05.150, paragraph B, it's unlawful for a person or group of persons acting in concert to attempt to avoid the subdivision laws by acting in concert to divide a parcel of land into 6 or more lots to sell or lease 6 or more lots by using a series of owners or conveyances. I guess that's the briefest way for me to present our concerns. I'm here representing neighbors and my wife, Ann. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is that something you'll later ask?
I will ask when we're done. Yes, I'm going to bring that up. Thank you. I'm sorry. Next is, I believe it's Ms. Kathy Adam.
Good morning, Vice Chair and Board of Supervisors. Kathy Adam, 240 East Ruggles, Florence. And I'm here to speak to you today as the proud president of the Pinal County Historical Museum. You just heard from Ms. Stephanie Joyner, our executive director. I want to thank the county, first of all, many of you, including Supervisor McClure, James Smith, Courtney Gully, Himanshu Patel. Many of the county folks have engaged with us and support us by their presence. Money is nice, money is necessary, but the fact that you visit us, that you think about us, that you try to engage us where it's appropriate with the county. I know you have a 150th anniversary coming up, and we are engaged in discussions in any way that we can help. I wanted to just say about, now this does go to the grant funding, and it's so important. We're a small nonprofit. We always are explaining that we don't receive a regular stipend from the county, right? So we depend on the grants and our admissions. We're a small rural community museum serving an underserved community, and as Stephanie said, we've made a concerted effort on things like our mountain lion to get the young people. They do not have the opportunity to go to a natural history museum. So I'll get to the point now, which is I am very proud to say that Ms. Stephanie Joyner was awarded the 2023 Rising Star Award by the Arizona State Humanities Council. That's a statewide recognition open to all cultural organizations, including the major museums, the Phoenix Art Museum, the Heard Museum, the Tucson Photography Center. Of all those, Stephanie was selected as the Rising Star. The criteria were that it's a young professional or volunteer who demonstrates outstanding creative approaches to engaging the public with the humanities and whose humanities scholarship and public service has enhanced the public understanding of the humanities. The criteria are that you have to be between 18 and 35, actively promote awareness, evidence of impact on diverse issues and communities, actively and consistently promote opportunities for people to learn, experience, and explore diverse issues through public programs. I think a couple of things, some of you know Stephanie, but I want to just highlight some of the things that we talked about. The second reference that Stephanie received for this award was from Michelle Reed. She is the president of the Arizona Museum Association. So again, this is statewide recognition. Stephanie has participated in Museum Advocacy Day. This is where we lobby Washington, D.C. to get some of our taxpayer dollars back for us, and she has done that via Zoom before they had in-person visits, and she got on a plane and went to D.C. for one of those if you've ever done that, of visiting every congressperson's office, it's quite grueling. But she represented us quite well. She resumed the Pinal County Museum meetups, so every museum in Pinal County meets on a regular basis so we can share best practices. As I said, she's very involved with the county. She also is a volunteer, and she's actively promoting the Santan Historical Society. And then within the town of Florence, we were selected by Lisa Garcia to do a town brown bag video to promote the history of our town to all the Florence employees. So in closing, in my recommendation to her, I said she is motivated, innovative, inspiring to others, positive, dedicated, and I think the biggest quality that is very, very hard to find today, especially in somebody so young, she's a leader. And the last thing I'd like to say, because I am a rabid Florentina promoting all of us, in 2023, from the little town of Florence, we had Stephanie Joyner with statewide recognition. Sophie Dessart had statewide recognition from the American Mining Association, Allison Felice, 2023 Young Professional Award, AZ Parks and Recreation, Pecos B.B. DeVries, Arizona's Innovation Under 25, and Lisa Garcia is the international president of municipal clerks. That's all from Florence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adam. Yes, Florence is a great place. I have, and I'm sorry I can't understand the first, I believe it's Trout. I don't know. Oh, there you are, sir. I'm sorry I couldn't read the first name.
It's Arlen Trout, and I'm a professional musician. I've lived on Kings Ranch Ridge and Gold Canyon for a half a century. And I'm sorry I'm back here. I was here last week or 2 weeks ago with the same problem. I've been trying to report these recent things to the Pinal County Sheriff's Department that have been happening regarding our property in Gold Canyon. Several of the members are aware of this. There's some conflicts of interest that keep the Pinal County attorney from getting involved, and it's been turned over to Maricopa County. And I don't think you quite understand. Maybe I didn't make myself clear of the problems we're having. Since March of 2021, these contractors came to our property, claimed that they had influence with senior judges and the police here in Pinal County, and they threatened that they could have us arrested, ruin us in court if we didn't let them use our driveway and dig a trench through the middle of my yard to get electricity to this well and house that they intended to build on adjacent property. Well, we reported that to the police on March 23rd, and they investigated and agreed that everything that I said was true, but they didn't cite the guy. Then he assaulted my neighbor, went after my wife after we had already gotten protective orders, and forced my family into suing him after he went to the county and was able to convince him that he owned our driveway, and they gave him building permits and abandoned an easement on his property. Then after $100,000 in court costs and 3 years of court, sorry about that, and 3 years of court, we finally proved that this guy knew from the beginning, even before he bought his property, that he didn't have right to the Trout family or the Trout property. So now we're in a situation where Pinal County officials have done this guy a favor on his word, and the courts have ruled that he shouldn't have a $1 million house sitting on the property next to us, using our driveway and sitting on top of his legal easement. So we're having a hard time. Now I have to testify about this and all these people, and I'm having a tremendous amount of pressure put on me by this man and public officials. I'm asking that you talk to the sheriff and ask the sheriff to get to the bottom of this, do a real investigation, which would mean looking at videotapes, police reports, court rulings, and the documents that we have, and the witnesses and his victims, and come up with an explanation of how we can stop this guy. My kids are terrified. My family's terrified. Our property's being damaged, and the police don't seem to want to get involved, and everybody seems to want to pretend like it's not happening to us.
Okay.
So I'd like to have. I'm here. This is the second
Mr.
time.
Trout. Okay,
thank you.
We'll have. Okay.
I'd like some help on this. I'm asking for your help. Thank you.
Thank you. As is our standard practice, you don't need to turn in one of these cards if there are members of the public that would care to speak. Mr. Reck, I see you waving your hand. Please come up to the podium and please give us your general location and name and all that good stuff.
I'm Noel Reck from Eloy and a stakeholder in the Casa Grande Union High School District. There are a lot of good things on today's agenda: the designation of commemorative weeks and months, volunteerism in AmeriCorps, animal care, fair housing, the Hope Food Pantry, several grants benefiting the Gila River Indian community, workforce development, and road safety. I commend the county for all of these actions. I also see there's a report to be given today by Pinal County Superintendent of Public Instruction, Joe Broussard. That is timely indeed. Since I moved here, there have been 3 Casa Grande Union High School Governing Board resignations that Ms. Broussard has filled. First came the appointment of Mr. Hennis. He was a good choice with prior experience on the board. I had no problem with his selection. I did have personal experience with the selection process and was very disappointed in the lack of professionalism it entailed. Ms. Broussard knows of what I speak. The second appointment was that of current board member Mr. Wilkie. Again, I have no problem with his selection. From what I've seen, he's reasonable, intelligent, and in it for the kids. Then there's the recent third appointment of Boots Hawks. Extremely problematic, to say the least, in both the who's and the how's. I'll not speak about Mr. Hawks today. Instead, I'm going to focus on questions raised after some basic research into the superintendent's office. As an educator, the concept of a county supervisor of public instruction is foreign to me. I would genuinely like to be better informed about a system that doesn't exist in my home state of Colorado. I will note that I called the district in which I taught and asked how a vacancy would be handled there. I was told the board, along with the full community involvement, would make the decision. But if it occurred during an election year, the vacancy would be filled by the voters in November. Here are my concerns. Is this department just another level of bureaucracy? Is the supervisor a superfluous middleman, middlewoman? And has this department become a political tool? I visited the department's website. I couldn't find a mission statement, but there was a description of services provided to the school districts. I'm of the thought that those services could be better served by having them absorbed into the county school districts and the State Board of Education. I'm told because Ms. Broussard is an elected official, there's no county oversight, that the only oversight might come from State Superintendent Horn. If true, good luck with that. He's probably cheering her on. I just don't get it. The county funds this department but has no oversight? That needs to change. I've never been much for conspiracy theories, but I have a strong suspicion that this appointment is the product of political collaboration between various members of the state, county, and local governments with state, county, and local elements of the Republican Party. This whole thing smells to high heaven. It's apparent that the department under Ms. Broussard's management has become a political tool, and you, as funders of the position, must take action. Thus, I request that Vice Chair McClure direct county staff to study and address the concerns I've raised today. Can and should this department be dissolved? Is this a job for legislative action? And how can the current process be changed to avoid this type of dangerous, inane political appointment? Thank you.
Are there others that wish to address the board? Please come up, state your name and general location.
Good morning. My name is Gail Peters from Santan Valley, and I had the privilege and the opportunity. I was invited by Matthew Roberts to be on part of a board at the election last night as our ballots were brought in from all over our county. I don't have a lot to say. It'll be short, but I just want to say I was so enthusiastic and so positive about how everything was handled. It was well thought through. It was well executed. Everybody was energetic, hardworking, and we're all committed to the same thing: free, fair, accurate election. And I just wanted to express my thanks for being able to deserve this, and I think that all the work that's been done is showing off in what happened last night, and I'm pleased to see it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Any others? Oh, please come up, state your name and general location.
Hello, my name's Mary Buckman. I live in Coolidge. I, too, wanted to address elections. I can't imagine having to do 3 elections in this short period of time, so that is a feat to be appreciated. I was here several months back with many other people in this room, and we expressed our interest in hand counting. I would like to begin to bring that to your attention again. I saw that there is an election director that has been appointed by Adrian Fontes, and I am sure that there's going to be some decisions made that I would really encourage you to continue to consider hand counting. I'm not saying for this current year, but these are things that need to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Buckman. Any others who care to address the board? Please, come forward. Excuse me? I have no other cards. If there's cards for, so just to be clear, if it's about a public hearing later, if that's what you're going to address, it'll come up at that time. There's public hearings later in the meeting. So if you care to just address us about whatever, this is the time. Okay. Yeah, it'll come up in a bit. Thank you. Any others that care to address the board on general stuff? Mr. Revelis. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well, thank you.
Since we know your name, just generally your
My
location.
name is Roberto Revelis, resident of Gold Canyon, speaking in the spirit of unity. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, congratulations to both Joe Biden and Donald Trump for their expected victories in yesterday's election. As this election season gets underway, now is a good time to urge all civic-minded Americans to engage in truthful dialogue about candidates seeking our votes. Democracy demands no less than candor and honesty in examining what each candidate for office offers the voter. I firmly believe that informed voting, rather than partisan voting, will bring to the best person to office. Additionally, timeliness in our public discussions is another essential element for ensuring that the election choices we make will positively improve Pinal County residents' quality of life. As folks begin to focus on this campaign year's impending choices, we must also acknowledge the important duty of our free press to report on how our elected officers vote on public policy measures that affect our lives. For example, prominent in our local news this week has been recognition of the significant economic boost Pinal County is experiencing as a result of the CHIPS and Science Act, a federal law that has been positively acknowledged by some members of this board, particularly Mr. Goodman, and an economic boost that in all candor became reality only because Democratic members of Congress voted for the CHIPS Act, while all of Arizona's Republican members voted against the CHIPS Act. And President Biden, who visited us this week in Arizona, signed that act, in addition to announcing the $8.5 billion that is being added to promulgate that CHIPS Act. A viable democracy requires that voters be informed of these facts by the media, as uncomfortable as the facts may be for the partisans among us. In this spirit, I encourage all of us to thoroughly and thoughtfully engage in respectful dialogue designed not to embarrass one candidate or political party over the other, but rather to enlighten each other so that we can make informed voting decisions in November. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Revelis. Any others that care to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close the call to the public. Mr. Liu.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, not yet. This is from me to you. So could we look into Mr. Trout's issues and bring that to the fore, please? And then also, I believe Mr. Billingsley is looking into the illegal subdivisions, because I saw Mr. Bando get hauled out. So I think we're looking into that now. Okay, thank you. Mr. Rex issue. Yes, I'm getting it. No, but I said Mr. Rex issue with the no, I'm down. I'm going down my list here with the superintendent of public instruction. Mr. Liu, could we put that on a future agenda item to have a work session on that, just to understand that process? Thank you. I believe that's it. So we will move on now to item 2, which is presentation of certificates of service to employees for 20 to 25 years. Now, Mr. Liu, it's your turn. It's your turn.
Thank you, Chairman. We have 3 employees to honor this morning. First, if I could go to 2 who I don't think are here, but I'd like to make sure to say their names and their positions and years with the county. First, there's Mary Sabalas Rollins, who had been with the county 25 years and who is a judicial office supervisor at the Copper Quarter Justice Court. Thank you, Mary, for your years of service. And thank you to Cedric Samayoa, detention officer here for 20 years. Thank you, sir, for your service. And then I believe Mr. Richard Garcia is present. He has been here 20 years as a senior appraiser with our assessor's office. Thank you, Mr. Garcia, and I believe you do want to come up and speak, and thank you, Mr. Wolf, Assessor, for being here today.
Good morning, members of the board, Vice Chairman. This is a fun day for me because I get to recognize one of my top employees. Kind of a little industry story, make a lot of decisions in the course of 10 years, or 11, I guess 12 now. Some good, some bad. One of the best ones I made was the first week I was in office. Richard said he was going to go to work as an appraiser for another organization, and I was, I thought, well, was it me or what? And it turned out that he went there and came back and said they promised nothing they promised what they could deliver, and he wanted to come back to work for the county. And I said, gladly, come on back. And so he's been one of our hardest working, best producing appraisers in our office. And he's one of those guys that we got new technology, we changed over to a new system, and he helped everyone in the office learn how to use the new database system and so forth. So he's actually been 24 years, as it turns out. He had spent 4 years with the Sheriff's Department, left and then came back and went to work in my office for my predecessor. So I just want to say those few words before we give him his presentation, so thank you very much. And thank you, Kiko.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Yeah, we'll all run. We're done. So we'll do pictures also. You guys get a selfie, and then we'll come down and we'll do the whole gang. How do you want to do this? Here you go. Well, go ahead and get a picture, and then we'll come down. We're coming down for a picture.
Okay.
That's it. There aren't any others. Are there any others? Leo. There's no others. We're done. Just one.
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
Yeah, right.
On my list.
Let me do two in each end. There you go. And, nope, let me get you. It's unbalanced otherwise. There you go. There you go. Scooch over just a little. There you go. And happy to see. Look, this guy's got the smile. And 3, 2, and again one more. Nice big smile. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Thank you.
Oh, I really started wearing these this last week.
All right, thank you. Item number 3, County Manager's Report. Mr. Liu again.
All right, thank you, sir. First, I do want to echo some of the comments this morning and thank all of the people who worked on elections and who supported it. As we all know, one of the greatest rewards we have is in life is when we work together as a team toward a common goal to do a good thing. So I appreciate everybody who worked on that. And speaking of teamwork, if our Ms. Kennedy, our clerk, could show a couple of pictures and we could talk about what happened here last week. This is there we go, a little bit easier to see. Last week, the county hosted the Arizona Department of Transportation ADOT board. They remarked that this is the best hosting that they've had in years.
Of course.
Yeah, and one of the great highlights and one of the things that we did in order to help them understand our state route needs here in the county is the National Guard we collaborated with to take them on helicopter tours so they could see it from above and gain some insight and connections as to the challenges that we face. They went over and looked at the 10, of course, the 347, the 24, the 60, the 79, made associations not only to the growth and the traffic and safety issues that we face, but also where their installations are and what kind of needs of theirs could be met. So there at that dinner, we had representatives from the state, from the towns and cities, as far as local representatives, as well as industry stakeholders. And I think they really got a flavor and really got an understanding of what our needs are and how they can help as the ADOT board. So thank you to Tammy and the staff and the elected officials who all participated in that event. And then we also had the county fair last week, and our departments showed up. We had development services and communications and marketing, human resources, and public health to help the attendees understand what the county does and also do some get to know us and recruiting type events for us. So thank you to our staff for doing that. And they'll be also at the Spring into Queen Creek event next week, this coming Saturday, at the Mansell Carter Oasis Park. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right. Next, we have the supervisor district updates. And so for board members that have things going on, I'll make it easy. Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. The road maintenance open house at the Maricopa Library will occur the 20th of March at 5 p.m. And this is to learn more about the maintenance and improvement funds. And that same meeting will be held at the Coolidge Council Chambers on April 4th, 2024 at 5 p.m. And at this time, I think I'd like it to make a point of personal privilege. And for the purpose of recognizing, and we may do it in a more formal way in the future, Rolanda Cephas of the Housing Department. An employee had gone for a hike over the weekend and came in, maybe I think it was Monday, and passed out in the office and was not breathing. And Rolanda Cephas, the hero, performed CPR, I believe, and we'll find more details, but I think it's important to recognize Rolanda for that. So thank you, Rolanda.
All right. Since Supervisor Goodman is not here, number 3, Mr. Miller.
No report. Thank you.
No report. And Mr. Surdy, go ahead.
Yeah. It's been a couple weeks now, but we held, all of us hold State of the Counties, and I had mine for District 5. I wish everybody in District 5 could have been there. We brought out all of the department heads, which makes a long day for them because they work here all day and then they go down there and they're there till 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I appreciate the diligence of them staying late. And I want to let everybody know also that if you have a community, our districts are so spread out that we would like to bring the government to you. So we may not have such a big event as the State of the County, but if you do want staff to come out, or myself or my staff, that we will meet with you on your issues. And we also have a video of my State of the County, if we could play that now. I want to thank everybody for coming out to the State of the County 2024. We're in the Apache Junction Multi-Generational Center. We're here to bring the government to the people.
I know most of these folks, that the elected officials, and I wanted to come down and hear what the rest of the people had to say. It was very educational, actually.
We're going to introduce all of staff that is working overtime tonight and the elected folks. We're ready for questions.
I have a question in regards to all of the squatters.
The squatter problem on public land, and that's the one that keeps coming up.
Paul and I were in a meeting earlier today where we were specifically addressing this very issue.
I don't know if it's homeless. I wouldn't say it's nomad people. I wouldn't say it's travelers. It's kind of a little bit of everyone. People are just camping out, and it's not someone in a family camping for a day or two. It's people that are out there for 6, 7, 8 months at a time.
I know there are a lot of people that don't know where to turn. They don't know what the county and the county supervisor can do for them and how code enforcement works. We walked people through that, and we tried to let people know how to start that, how to get their neighborhoods cleaned up.
It's not unique, okay? It happens quite often up in the area where we live.
What I was asking about is how long we have to put up with a derelict camper or a motorhome or whatever sitting beside the road
I definitely liked how they brought up the tow truck situation.
It didn't even cross my mind, to be honest with you. It was a gentleman that ran the towing company.
If a motorhome gets towed, you lose money on it. Somebody needs to be reimbursed for towing a motorhome. The landfills won't take them. They need to be cut up. These are old, they have negative value, as opposed to towing a vehicle. You can get a title, you can then sell it and recoup some money. But the tow companies don't even want to touch them, and I don't blame them.
My biggest concern here is election integrity.
Do you know that when you move to Pinal County and you're still registered in the state of New Jersey, you're supposed to unregister? No, a lot of people don't know that.
Elections are always on everybody's mind. We had some snafus last time. We think we have the right team in there. I'm always amazed at how intelligent a lot of the questions are. We have very smart citizens in District 5 of Pinal County.
Being able to sit in on these meetings and listen to these people be like, oh wow, like I didn't know that, or I didn't know you were having these issues, or or I didn't know you thought of the rent-to-own housing situation.
A lot of the home building is rentals. I don't want them to just build homes to rent. I want people to have home ownership. Otherwise, they can't ever get out of the hole. But on the same topic, you do need rentals because people can't afford to live there, and some people don't have the credit yet.
I do think it's important for people my age to come see the public forum, to sit down, figure out what's going on in their community.
I love doing these. I look forward to doing the next 4 years doing the same way, and every time it gets better and more people get connected. And also the department heads see what the needs are too. They learn too. They learn from the residents just as much as we learn from them. So it's great to get everybody together in the same room and we hear all the problems, then we can work on solutions.
Okay, thank you. And for my report, I'm just going to talk trash. I've got a community cleanup going on right now in Red Rock. So if you're from Red Rock, go home, get your stuff, go do it. It goes on till 1 today at the school. We're sponsoring that with Republic Services. On Friday and Saturday of this week in Arizona City, we also have a community cleanup from my office in Pinal County from 7 to 2 on Friday and 7 to 1 on Saturday. And that is it for me. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 5, discussion, approval, disapproval of the proclamation proclaiming the week of March 18, 2024 through March 22, 2024 as Public Defense Week to recognize the 61st anniversary of the Supreme Court ruling in the Gideon versus Wainwright, ordering the defendants without means to be represented by public defense. And Mr. Lovelace, you are up.
Thank you, Vice Chairman, members of the board. For one, also thank you for all of your support of public defense services over the years. We've really appreciated all of that. We also just always want to thank county management, who's been nothing but absolutely supportive and encouraging and leading us through the continued changes that we're making. Also just want to take a moment to thank all of our internal service departments. We have the clerk of the board, who always helps me when I'm trying to figure out how to get something in front of you. They always hold my hand through it. We have human resources, of course, who helps us, information technology, HR, facilities, finance, and then the assessors processing our revenue checks. So I just want to thank all of them because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without them. I also want to just take a moment before we read the proclamation to just acknowledge the wonderful achievement for our public defender, Kate Maluski, who's here. She received the William Rothstein Achievement Award, which is given to a member practicing in one of Arizona's rural counties who exemplifies special commitment and skill in representing clients. So she was given this award for her accomplishments both in improving the office with training, as well as creating a mitigation unit, an appellate unit, and of course continuing to encourage the lawyers to advocate and with passion and with advocacy for all of their clients. And then also finally, of course, her continued work in getting a building, which I think was, of course, thanks to all of you, but especially her time and energy in that. It's really been meaningful for all of our staff and attorneys to, A, be right next to court, but also to feel like they have a place that was designed for them. And so with that, I just want to acknowledge Kate Maluski for her award. So with that. And with that, members of the board, I will ask you to move to, we gather today to
Oh,
commemorate a pivotal...
don't read the proclamation.
Yeah,
yet.
no, I'm going to just do
okay.
proclamation verbiage.
Oh, you're just doing the attorney thing. Okay.
Yeah. We gathered today to commemorate a pivotal moment in American history, one that echoes the very principles enshrined in the United States Constitution. In the spirit of the Founding Fathers, who fiercely championed to the right of a fair trial, we celebrate Public Defense Week and the crucial role it plays in upholding the cornerstone of our justice system, which is the right to counsel. Proclaiming the week of Monday, March 18th through Friday, March 22nd to be the Public Defense Week and recognizing the 61st anniversary of the Supreme Court ruling in Gideon versus Wainwright, ordering that defendants without means must be provided professional legal representation in accordance with the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution.
Thank you. And with that, let's see, preamble, let's move. Does the board have any questions? No? In that case, may I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation as presented.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Mr. Lovelace, would you please read the proclamation?
Certainly, it's my honor. Whereas on March 18, 1963, the United States Supreme Court ruled in Gideon versus Wainwright that citizens charged with a crime who cannot afford an attorney should have one appointed for them. And whereas Public Defense Services not only represents its clients, but it also upholds the rights set forth in the United States Constitution of every accused person to have a fair trial or obtain a just result from the legal process. Whereas in this ruling, Justice Hugo Black wrote that even the intelligent and educated layman has small and sometimes no skill in the science of law. If charged with crime, his is incapable, generally, of determining for himself whether the indictment is good or bad. And without the aid of counsel, though he be not guilty, he faces the danger of conviction because he does not know how to establish his innocence. And whereas Pinal County continues to uphold that constitutional right set forth in Gideon versus Wainwright through the continued growth and support of Public Defense Services, and whereas Pinal County Public Defense Services attorneys and their support staff members continue to work tirelessly to provide essential constitutionally guaranteed legal services to those who would otherwise not have access to them. And whereas it is fitting to recognize and celebrate the dedication and commitment of our public defenders, appointed counsel, and all those who work tirelessly to uphold the right to counsel and ensure access to justice. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pinal County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims March 18th through Friday, March 22nd, 2024 to be Public Defense Week. Thank you, members of the board.
All right, thank you. And let's have a picture because what the heck, that's what we live for, right? Get a picture with you in the proclamation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to explain my vote per the rules.
I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
That's all right. So I've arrested a lot of child predators. And after retiring from police work, I went to work as a public defender investigator. But during my time arresting those predators, the defense often sharpened my skills more so than the prosecution. They would show me the weaknesses in my cases. As a defense investigator, most of the cases we looked at would result in convictions. Our clients were probably guilty, and we couldn't find any evidence that they weren't. But one case where a gentleman was charged with molestation against his own children with a forensic interview that said he did this was brought to us, and in time we proved everything in that case was fabricated. So while people say, how could you be a good human being and defend bad people or child molesters, they are not so until they're convicted. And I want to thank the Public Defense Department for the important work you do.
Picture time.
Let's go, Kat.
Everybody, one side step this way. I can make that work. Okay. Okay. And go back just a tiny bit. There you go. There we go. That's good. All right. Fine-looking group. 3, 2, and one more. This one you mean it. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Thank you.
All right. Item 6, discussion approval, disapproval of a proclamation adopting April 2nd, 2024 to April 8th, 2024 as International Dark Sky Week in Pinal County. This proclamation will be read into the record by David Coward. Mr. Coward, would you like to come up and, or not, or James?
Good morning, Vice Chairman, Board of Supervisors, James Daniels, your Communications and Marketing Director. I'm here to talk about Dark Skies Week, which, as you've said, is April the 2nd to the 8th. This is something that we've had proclamations for before, but this year I was brought in by Supervisor Surdy's district to help elevate this across the county, really. This has primarily been efforts in the past from the Gold Canyon and Oracle areas. So we do have a slide which shows some of the events that are taking place across the county. And we're also putting on a couple of events ourselves within the county. So you should see it on your screens now. So on Thursday, April the 4th, there will be a dark sky hike at Peralta Regional Park. And then on Monday, April the 8th, which is the last of the days recognizing Dark Skies Week, we're going to try something a little bit different, and that's by holding a Dark Sky Lights Out event. So that's a 30-minute period where we're going to gently encourage residents of the county to turn off unnecessary lighting, indoors and outdoors, to reduce light pollution, and to enjoy the beauty of the night skies and the wonders of the universe. So we'll have more on that actually at the next board meeting. We've done a video which will help explain a little bit more of that, and it'll probably come out next week. Yeah, that's where what we're trying to do this year. And Dave Coward and Isabel Peterson are here from Gold Canyon, and upon approval, Dave is here to read the proclamation into the record. So I'll take any questions.
No
Any
questions.
questions?
I just want to, a lot of times people are under the misinformation that we do have dark sky regulations already. And while there are some regulations in the sign code, et cetera, there is no true dark sky ordinance for different areas. So a lot of things can be done just by making sure you have as low a bulb as you need, make sure they're turned down, et cetera. For instance, Prospector Park in Apache Junction just redid their stadium lights, and they all angled down so you don't see the glow like you do from what was Bell Bank Park in Southern Mesa, which was just horrible. So let's never let anything like that happen out here.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Seeing, hearing none, make it a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 6 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Mr. Coward, would you please like to read the proclamation?
Before I read it, I would like to mention that we appreciate the effort that Supervisor Surdy, his staff person Connie Vandrell, James, for the efforts they did for helping us put this together for the second year. Just to let you know, the last year there were over 100 entities, city, towns, governments throughout the world that passed these kind of proclamations, and Pinal County was one of those last year, and hopefully we'll have more this year. And we also want to give a shout out to your people that are working on the revised lighting ordinance. they are doing, in our opinion, a very credible job of doing due diligence in looking at some of these lighting issues that Supervisor Surdy mentioned and incorporating them in the new revised lighting ordinance. So we appreciate the county's efforts on that. So without further ado, the Dark Sky Week proclamation. A lot of whereases here. Whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of a natural night sky is a shared heritage of all humankind, and whereas the experience of standing beneath a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe and encourages a growing interest in science and nature, especially among young people and out-of-area visitors to Pinal County. Whereas 80% of the world's population, including many people in Pinal County, live under a dome of light pollution, which is excessive artificial lighting at night that disrupts natural darkness, and may never experience the visual wonder or ecological and health benefits of living under a dark sky. And whereas Arizona hosts 10% of the world's largest telescopes, including the world's largest optical telescope, and many of the world's most revered observatories, including the Lowell Observatory, Smithsonian Astrophysical Observatory, Whipple Observatory, the University of Arizona, MMT, and a large binocular telescope observatories at Kitt Peak National Observatory and the Vatican Observatory. And whereas optical astronomy, which is both hindered and endangered by unfettered light pollution, represents a statewide capital investments of more than $1.3 billion and an annual economic return of over $250 million, including an indirect attachment to more than 150,000 jobs throughout the aerospace and defense sector. And whereas Arizona is home to dozens of nocturnal wildlife species, including the black-footed ferret, one of the most endangered mammals on the North American continent, and these species rely on undisturbed night environments to hunt, mate, and thrive. And whereas Dark Sky International, headquartered in Tucson, Arizona, is the globally recognized authority on light pollution and uses International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of light pollution and provide free education, resources, and solutions to the public to encourage the protection of and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting. And whereas we encourage Pinal County residents to join us in observing a 30-minute dark skies light out event across entire Pinal County from 8:30 to 9 p.m. on Monday, April 8th, turning off all unnecessary lighting indoors and outdoors, and then in order to reduce light pollution and to go out and enjoy the beauty of the night sky and the wonders of our universe. Now, therefore, we, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, do hereby declare April 2 through 8, 2024 as International Dark Sky Week in Pinal County. We ask each individual Pinal County to join not only in observing and pondering upon the important week, but also in raising awareness and support for protecting our precious dark sky resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coward. And could we get a picture with you? Would you? Picture time.
More happy than that. There we go. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Thank you.
Okay, next is item 7. This is discussion, approval, disapproval of a proclamation of the Pinal County Board of Supervisors proclaiming the month of April 2024 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month in Pinal County. The introduction will be from Ms. Heidi Miller. Good morning, Ms. Miller.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, Jeffrey. People may not be aware of this, but more children die in the United States every year of child abuse than they ever did of COVID. And yet you look at the reaction we had in this country to COVID, shutting down schools to prevent children from becoming ill. And then you add on, for people that have educated themselves about adverse childhood experiences, the impact from not being killed but being traumatized during your childhood. And the costs are enormous. The proclamation calls for working with nonprofits and with faith communities and with government. An example of this is, and I want to give thanks to Jeff 30. Last year he helped me get posters like this. This was done by a teenager in a school, and it's on the National Child Abuse Hotline. Into the libraries in Pinal County with information on the hotline. The hotline is a free resource 24/7, and it can help not only with child abuse, but with parents with questions on parenting. Children that are being bullied in schools can call up and talk to a master's level social worker or counselor. And teen dating violence can also be helped. And so we're making an effort with the libraries to get this information out with the posters and educational information for parents and adults. I want to thank Mike Goodman. He isn't here, but he is going to participate in the second annual Santan Valley Family Resource Fair and also the Sabbath for the Children that we're holding April 6th and April 7th. This is an example of how faith communities and also nonprofits can get together and make a difference on this issue. I worked on the National Child Abuse Hotline, and I know what kind of calls they get. I actually had a police officer call in and helped solve a murder. And that's how intense some of the calls can be. And sometimes we just have a 6-year-old little boy call in and say he's lonely and get some help as far as how to make friends. I'm hoping that we can spread more activities and more awareness for April for National Child Abuse Awareness Month. Ronald Reagan was the first president that signed in the proclamation, and one of his sons was actually abused by someone at the school, and I think that might have helped motivate him to sign that proclamation. And that we could all do more for children in Pinal County.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Are there any questions from the board? Mr. Kavanaugh.
Thank you for the work that you do. I don't know if it's appropriate to plug my book, but I wrote a book and it covers child abuse and sexual abuse. And as a child, my family was terribly abused. And it was good to have resources. It's good to have resources now. Back then, the resources weren't quite available. But to make this available to children who have issues, who are being abused, I appreciate your work, and we honor you for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? If not, then may we get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 7 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Ms. Miller, would you like to please read the proclamation?
Whereas children are our most valuable resource and they are also our most vulnerable, All of Pinal County's children deserve to be safe with an opportunity to thrive, learn, and grow in a stable environment that fosters healthy development. And whereas child abuse and neglect can be prevented by supporting and strengthening Pinal County's families, thus preventing the far-reaching effects of maltreatment and providing the opportunity for children to develop healthy, trusting family bonds and building the foundations of communities. And whereas strong and nurturing communities where all children grow up safe, people have jobs and provide for those they love, and families receive the care they deserve, strengthen families and promote child, family, and community well-being. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created within communities among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business sector. And whereas by providing a safe, stable, and nurturing environment for our children, free of violence, abuse, and neglect, we can ensure that Pinal County's children will grow to their full potential as the next generation of leaders, helping to secure the future of this county, state, and nation. Now, therefore, the Pinal County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim April 2024 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Proclaim this 20th day of March 2024.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Would you mind having a picture with us and your proclamation?
I've got a couple supporters, too.
Absolutely. Bring them up.
It's not fully executed, but you can take a picture with it and get that to them when it's ready. I'll give it to you. Okay.
Very nice. And happy 3-2. This is a good thing. One more. 3-2. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, item number 8 is recognition of the Pinal County from the Pinal County Board of Supervisors, recognizing the AmeriCorps team and the services they're providing for Pinal County. I got to meet some of these kids the other day at the Pinal County Fair. Pretty fun, and I recognize a few of them sitting out there. So, let's see. I believe you're Miss Elliott.
I am Greta Mills.
Oh, I'm sorry, Greta. I'm sorry. Sorry about
That's
that.
okay. We've met before, too.
Yes, we
Good
have.
morning, all. It's good to see you again. I'm here this morning to recognize our AmeriCorps NCCC Fire 5 team that has been and will continue to serve in Pinal County through mid-April. The National Civilian Community Corps, or AmeriCorps NCCC, is an AmeriCorps program founded in 1993 that engages 18 to 26-year-olds in team-based residential community service projects across the United States. The mission of AmeriCorps NCCC is to strengthen communities, develop leaders through direct, team-based national and community service. The University of Arizona Cooperative Extension has hosted 6 NCCC teams in the past to work in our community in several ways to strengthen Pinal County. This year's team, Fire 5, are being housed at the Maricopa Agricultural Center in Maricopa. When they arrived in February, they hit the ground running, providing a massive overhaul of the agriculture in the classroom buildings at the farm. They've been instrumental in helping create a maker space for 4-H members so that they'll be able to create projects, prototypes, and understand how technology and agriculture work together. They've done work at the Central Arizona College, continuing a trail to highlight native plants. They've done work at the Eloy Veterans Center, assisting with a building move in the garden, and tremendous work for the 4-H Pinal County Fair, as you mentioned. The remainder of their stay, they will stay and work at the Mac Farm and do trail building and then construction at the Pinecombs 4-H camp up in Williams, Arizona. So I present to you for recognition our helpers for a little while, Fire 5 team.
Come down in front. Let's get a picture with you. This is picture day. This is like grade school.
Can I contact you, or who do I contact? Okay, great. Yeah, thank you.
Everybody, ready? Everybody go one step that way. There you go. Scooch over just a tad. Nope, you're good in front. There you go. There you go. Just want to make sure I can see everybody's face. Kevin, I'll scoot over just a little bit. There you go. Awesome. Nice groove. And big smiles. Ready? 3, 2, and again. 3, 2, 1. Nice. Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Item 9 is a recognition, and we're here to acknowledge the notable contributions of Justice of the Peace Lyle Riggs, who's dutifully served as the elected official responsible for Precinct 4, the Western Pinal District of the Pinal County Justice Court from 2014 to from 2014 to February 2nd, 2024. We commend Judge Riggs for his steadfast commitment to upholding the principles of justice and for his unwavering dedication to the community he's served. Justice Riggs will not be able to attend today due to health concerns, and do we have a plaque for him? So, I mean, I could stand there and take a picture with myself. We could Photoshop him in, but I don't think. Okay, all right. So, anyway, we appreciate Justice Riggs' commitment. So, moving on, item 10. Discussion, approval, disapproval of the recommendation by the Justice of the Peace Selection Committee for the appointment of the Pinal County Justice of the Peace, Western Pinal Justice Court, Precinct 4, to fulfill the remainder of the term left by the resignation of Justice Riggs. At this time, there was no recommended appointee at this time from the committee, and at this time I would ask that
Chairman?
Hey,
sure? May I?
I'm just talking.
Let Mr. Miller, I'm sorry. Let Mr. Miller go first.
Well, I'd like to go into exec session because there's been some information that given to me yesterday that I think should be shared by council. So,
and that was my next suggestion. So you're
was
just reading my mind. You're doing great. So at this time, could I get a motion to recess the regular meeting and convene executive session?
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're in executive session.
So moved.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we are back in regular session. Okay, this is, again, back to item number 10, and this is discussion, approval, disapproval of a recommendation of the Justice of the Peace Selection Committee for the Western Pinal Justice Court. Mr. Keller, did you want to fill us in?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, let me give you a little bit of background on this, what you may not be aware of, or what the public may not be aware of. In January, there was an administrative order that was issued by the Supreme Court, by the Chief Presiding Judge of the Supreme Court, that assigned our Superior Court Presiding Judge, Judge Giorgini, the ability to assign judicial officers to the Western Pinal Justice Court as needed to conduct the court business and so forth. That order is still in effect. So he does have we do have people that are assigned in that court, and Judge Giorgini went ahead and issued his own administrative order because there were two pro tems in there, and he wanted one of those pro tems to operate as the presiding pro tem for that court. Obviously, you needed someone to be in charge. So he made that appointment at that time in January. So you do have the ability, now he had the ability to assign justices. You, as the Board of Supervisors, have the ability to appoint someone to fill that vacancy. And that's what you have went ahead and created a selection committee to go forward and review candidates because there are certain qualifications that they needed to meet, I should say. Obviously being of the same political party was one of those. I believe you had several candidates, at least a few candidates that you may have interviewed. There is no time requirement in the statute that says when you have to make that appointment. So if you did not go forward and make any type of an appointment, it will continue as is with the presiding justice of the peace that Judge Giorgini has appointed in there, and it will continue on. So also keep in mind, for the continuing, I'll call it the smooth operation of the court, there always, majority of the time, needs to be some overlap for whether or not someone that's taking an appointment coming in needs to be trained and get up to speed and so forth. So there would have to be some of that, training. And I know those are concerns that the presiding judge, and that's why he went ahead and appointed someone at this point in time. So the court continues to operate efficiently.
Thank you. Supervisors Miller and Kavanaugh, you're the selection committee. Do you have anything to?
Yeah, so in training, if we have someone who's not been a JP before, how long do you estimate if we appointed someone that we would have to have both a pro tem and the new appointee in place before the new appointee is off and running and can work solo?
Depending on the background of the person and the experience that they may bring, it would probably be several months at least. A minimum of several months. Could be 3 to 6, I could say.
Okay.
Comfortably say.
Okay.
Supervisor Miller, did you have anything?
I have nothing to offer.
So you and Supervisor, Mr. Miller and Mr. Kavanaugh are both the selection committee. Do you have a recommendation at this time?
I do not.
I believe the rule is, or the understanding is, that the committee as the whole has to agree on one candidate. Is that right, Mr. Keller?
That is correct. In order to move a candidate forward.
Okay. So would we agree that we don't have one candidate that we agree upon to move forward? Is that right?
That's correct.
So without a candidate to move forward, unless there's some other action by the board, the item would essentially die then, because you have not advanced a candidate for the board to consider appointing.
So at this time, item 10 is dead in the water?
Unless someone is a consensus that moves someone forward, and I'm not hearing that.
All right. At this time, this motion, or there's no motion, so this item is dead in the water. All right, thank you. Let's see. So now we have item 11. This is discussion and updates regarding the 2024 state and federal legislative session, including bills, budgets, and all that fun stuff. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a lot to talk about in the legislative arena this week. There's a lot of scrambling with strikers being put into committees and moving, trying to move some legislation and making amendments on the floor. Tomorrow's meeting at CSA will probably give us a little more insight. This was kind of an unusual week. Previous week, there were a lot of legislators out of the country, so it's going to take another week or so for everything to catch up. I was successful in getting a striker that was attached to some water legislation through committee this morning. I just got a text. We got it through committee. Now we'll have to get it on the floor, but we'll see how that goes. That's all I have for now.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Okay, item 12, discussion of updates related to the Elections Department and County Recorder. Ms. Lewis, you're up. You're still up. Been up all night?
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Dana Lewis, Pinal County Recorder. I'm here to present some updates in regards to the March 19th, 2024 presidential preference election. We utilized 52 polling locations, almost 500 poll workers, and had the participation of about 100 political observers. About a little over 160,000 eligible Republicans and Democratic voters were able to participate. Of those at the polls, we had turnout of 5,430 voters. Early ballots first released for tabulation or first posted at tabulation last night were at over 50,000. We did receive 391 provisional ballots at the polls. We still have left to process over 1,100 late earlies that were dropped at the polls and over 2,000 from the United States Post Office and the drop boxes. I'd like to take this time to give a special thanks in regards to Precinct 53, Choo Choo, to the Public Works Office, the facilities officials, our Office of Emergency Management, Chief Deputy Matt Thomas with the PCSO, Assistant Chief James Cook with the Tahana Atham Police Department, District Chairman Jose Vernon, Tribe Forward Liaison Angela Williford, the Pinal County Voter Outreach Team. We had a situation occur at that precinct in which we were not able to occupy the physical building with great people, innovative thinking, and a little bit of historical experience. We were able to stand up an emergency voting location exterior of the building, so we did not have to change the known location for voting for those voters there. And things went well. Another thanks to the facilities manager, Blaine, out there, and also Inspector Enos. Without them, it wouldn't have gone as famously as it did, and definitely found out that our giant billboard on wheels worked and people were able to find that voting location very easily. Also want to thank some of our civically engaged members of our community. We sent out signage to a lot of the polling locations that had been consolidated saying, hey, you normally vote here, but now you need to vote here because we consolidated. A lot of those locations did put up the signs for us. However, we don't have an authorization with them, so to be on the property. And what we found out is some people were still going to their original polling location. Thanks, Mary Buckman, because we did get a call and was able to disperse out some rovers and get some additional signage put up. Already started identifying some great areas for improvement. Parking is always going to be an issue while we're in Coolidge. So the new building can't get here soon enough. Poll worker training. I think, again, with the fix of having the new facility, being able to do a lot of hands-on with our poll books and our processing of provisionals, and also with how we complete the official ballot report. These hands-ons, sometimes aren't easily captured during just a 3 or 4 hour training session. And if we can get some text in the hands of poll workers and get them comfortable with it, I think we're going to see some advancements. We do plan to provide analytics at the future Board of Supervisors meeting in April regarding the costs of this election, the equipment return pilot program that we accomplished last night, the survey results that we provided to voters. Everybody who left the polling location was given a QR code that they could utilize to give us some feedback about how we're doing. I don't know if something's broke, if I don't know, so hopefully we'll get some really great information back from our voters. And of course, always improving on the resource use and the personnel needs. Huge areas of success identified by people who have been in our receiving board process, people who were new to it. is our chain of custody. Obviously, we had really astute receiving logs. We were able to secure assets promptly, and our audit procedures and snag boards, again, fabulous. Not only were we documenting them, physically on paper, but also doing it real time as the election equipment and ballots came in. We were also able to post timely to our website all of the results in accordance with the brand new laws that were just recently passed. Also identify all of the early ballots, we call them late earlies, dropped off at the poll on election day, and the provisional ballots per precinct or polling location in this one. Reminder again that the bipartisan hand count audit of our tabulation machines begins today at 3 p.m. at 168 South Main Street. Those hand count members have been identified by the party chairs, and we're going to go through a nice little training, swear them in, and then we will proceed with that process. We are open again through this weekend at all of our satellite offices. If you have been contacted via phone, email, text, or letter to cure a mismatched signature, we request that you please do so promptly, but you will have the ability to do so through Sunday at the satellite offices. And again, the canvass is scheduled for March 28th. That is a Thursday, I believe, at 9:30 a.m. Questions?
No, I appreciate not getting a phone call yesterday about, there's a problem. I just held my breath. I'm getting really good at that, but it was good.
Supervisor McClure, members of the board, we took those. But what was really great is having the call center here, having voter registration staff, having the early voting and AVID divisions, having the elections department when they weren't out in the field, meeting our voters, meeting our poll workers. When they were there, they were taking the calls. They're learning these processes, understanding the frustrations, and we've data compiled all of this, and we're going to be able to be even that much better and astute going into the primary election.
Thank you. Now, in some of your numbers you put out, you said 391 provisionals.
Yes,
Does
sir.
that seem like a high number?
Chairman,
out of
members
500.
of the board, out of the eligible, about 165,000 voters, and having 52 polling locations, and this being a consolidated election in which independent voters did not have the ability to vote, 391 isn't. It's not too striking to me. Again, I have an amazing team. I am so blessed with our voter registration staff and early voting and AVID professionals. I believe that we're going to be able to knock that out of the park very quickly this week so that we can compiling the official canvass information for the Board of Supervisors. It's a difficult election. Not a lot of people understand that we don't caucus in the state of Arizona and who is eligible to vote in this election. We've done huge amounts of communications with our communities, but sometimes it's hard to reach the independents. They're independent voters. They don't have party chairs for me to send emails to in regards to what this looks like. So we do our best, but unfortunately, sometimes the message isn't received.
Okay, so just for quick public edification, why would one file or vote a provisional ballot?
A provisional ballot is for a voter who appears at a voting location. One, maybe they've had a name change or a change of address, or maybe they're an independent voter and they've shown up to vote in an election which you have to be a eligible Republican or Democrat voter. They may be inactive. That means a voter who at some point received election mail from our department and did not clear it with us that they still live there. So they're inactive. One of the ways we make them active again is when they show identification at the polls, and we do that with a provisional ballot. Again, if they show up at the wrong polling location, we are a precinct-based model, and even though this was a consolidated election, they are still required to go to their designated polling location during these elections. So when they don't do that, we have to give them a provisional ballot. What's really great on the provisional ballot, though, is they have the ability, if they weren't registered to vote, if they're new to Arizona or new to Pinal County, we have the ability to update their registration with that provisional ballot. They have to sign it like a voter registration form, and there are tracking information on the back on how they can track that provisional ballot.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Chairman McClure. thank you for pulling off what seems like a really good election so far. Appreciate that. I didn't get a call, no concerns, one email, but for the most part, not like the last time around. Last time you were here, we talked about a purchase order where 2 Dell Latitude 5540 laptops were ordered from, it looks like ES&S, that were Wi-Fi enabled. Were you able to research that?
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Kavanaugh, we did. When I was there, again, we have several parts that go to be a part of this election management system. And those 2 Dell Latitudes were for the Spanish translation that we do for our ballots.
Okay. So these are not ones that would be hooked up to the tabulators in any way, shape, or form?
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Kavanaugh, absolutely not.
Okay. And then were you aware at all if there was a meeting on February 6, 2023 with the engineers from ES&S discussing accuracy of the tabulators?
Of 2023.
February 6, 2023.
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Kavanaugh, I cannot recall that at this time.
Okay.
But again, I'm running on like 4 hours of sleep, so I apologize and could get back to you at a future date.
So some concerns were expressed that there may have been issues that would need to be looked into at that meeting. And so perhaps we should. Leo, were you at that meeting?
Chairman, Supervisor Kavanaugh, I don't recall off the top of my head on that day. I guess I have to look back and think about it and see what exactly that meeting was.
Okay. There would have been a meeting with 2 of the engineers from ES&S. I think it was at the elections office. I think Geraldine Roll may have been there. Does that ring a bell?
Supervisor, again, I'd have to look back and look at my calendar and reconcile that. Off the top of my head, I'm not recalling at the moment.
Okay. So perhaps, Mr. Chairman, we should have an executive session meeting in the future or even today, I don't know, to give direction and to have more information about this. I don't know what the best way to handle that information is.
We could.
What's the question?
The question is what happened on February 6, 2023?
Right. And maybe
okay.
There may be issues here I don't want to say publicly for liability reasons, and so maybe it's best to have a sidebar with Chris and ask him how the best to ask these questions.
Okay, so I'm hearing speculation, I'm hearing a bunch of things. So Ms. Lewis, could you look into this situation, and at our next meeting, when you give us an update, could we talk about February 6, 2023?
Let me talk to Chris Keller just a minute before you leave, if I may.
If this was Jeopardy right now, we'd have the music going, so we'll just wait
I was
just a
going to
second.
say, Chairman, Vice Chair, shall I dance?
No, please.
Oh, did you see my camera yesterday?
Can we continue on then while we're waiting?
Sure, we can continue on.
Okay, so Dana, I voted in person yesterday about 11 o'clock. Saw something that could have been disturbing, but I think you're going to explain it. And I didn't meddle and say, hey, I'm the supervisor, I'm here watching. I just went in like a regular citizen. And right in front of me was a person registering to vote. Same day, and they expected to vote. And then I went ahead and voted, and then I went around and asked the people, the observers there, what just happened. So we don't have same-day registration, right? I mean, California can come over here, get a driver's license, and vote in one day. Please tell me that that's not how this works.
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Surdy, no, we do not have same-day voter registration in the state of Arizona. I can say that because of the laws that we have that mandate elections, books open, books close, the fact that we require voters to be registered to vote 29 days before an election, early voting starts 27 days before an election, there is a gap in time. And I had calls yesterday come in which voters said, well, I registered to vote March 1st. That's during what we call books closed. We are thankful that they updated their voter registration. However, they would not be eligible to vote in this election because that process did not occur prior to the 29 days. So we do not have the ability. What they would have then been instructed to accomplish if they continued to want to vote would be a provisional ballot because they were not eligible, but that vote won't count.
That will be one that will be
That's
kicked out.
correct. That's correct.
So one more thing, we just report on what citizens are telling us. I had people at my office yesterday because we did consolidate down some of the polling places looking to vote. When people got that yellow envelope on the front, it says where to vote, correct?
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Surdy, that's not correct. On your active early voting list or your early ballot that you receive via mail, it is your name, your information, and your address. What they would have received is a sample ballot. So you may have people who are registered to vote at one home, and some people want to receive a ballot by mail, but the others have removed themselves from the active voting list. I'm required by law to send a sample ballot. On the sample ballot, it will direct them to their voting location.
And then they asked that be bigger and more in your face of where to vote.
Noted.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Large print.
Okay, I'm done.
Any other questions?
So, Chris, do you want to explain what we...
Sure. Mr. Chairman, supervisors, what Supervisor Kavanaugh is requesting is a future executive session, and I think we can go ahead and handle that, and it would be, for legal advice regarding the ESNS equipment utilized that he referred to back in February 6th, was that correct date? February 6th of 2023.
There was a meeting on February 6th.
Yeah. So we're going to ask for an executive session, provide legal advice concerning that meeting and the equipment and that referenced in that.
And because a relative of yours was potentially at that meeting, would you be conflicted off?
I'll have to discuss that with the county attorney because I believe you said the county attorney may have also been at that meeting too.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have enough information. So, yeah, we can address that at that time, though.
This is for a future date.
For a future date.
Future
yes.
date.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll need some time to, to research what Supervisor Kavanaugh wants to be discussed.
You think that's the next regular session? Possibly.
Possibly. I would say in April. We should be able to do something in April.
In April. I keep thinking that's way off. That's like day after. Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's do that. And I think no other question. Oh, Mr. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just real quick, Dan. 52 locations. That's down from
100.
What other elections? Almost half.
Chairman, Vice Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Miller, that is required by statute. For the PPE, understanding that the only eligible voters in that election will be designated partisan. So in this election, it was Republicans and Democrats. We realize that even if we have a 300,000 registrant base, we know we're going to be at about 150 participating in that. So since we moved down 50% of the voters, the Secretary of State office helps offset the cost of this. And so part of the law is that we consolidate the elections because of our population by 50%.
Makes sense then. Okay, no worries. I just didn't know if that's what it was going to be when we get to the primary and the general. Mm-hmm. We'll have more locations.
Supervisor Miller, members of the board, that is correct. And with the moving of the primary date to July 30th and having to resend authorization forms and making sure we're touching those polling locations again and those locations, I'm sure that at the next board meeting that I will have future updates and be asking for more assistance from the fabulous Board of Supervisors since we are precinct-based.
Thank you. That's all I have.
And I would expect that's the case. Any other questions? None. Seeing none. Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis, for your report. Hope the day goes well and you get some sleep tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Item 13, Purchasing Division Report. Ms. Woods.
Good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair McClure, members of the board. Angie Woods, I'm the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. I have the Purchasing Division report for today, March 20th of 2024. The board is requested to approve the following contract amendments. RFP 203026 for Public Defense Services Office for Attorney Services. It's recommended approval of Amendment Number 4 to exercise the optional extension period from July 1st of 2024 through June 30th of 2025 with the following suppliers: Alcantar Law Firm, Herman Alcantar, Alexander Law Office, PLC, Morgan P. Alexander, Catherine L. Gray, Attorney at Law, E.M. Hale Law, PLLC, Elizabeth Hale, I'm going to butcher the name, sorry, Falduto Law Firm, PLCC, Bobby Falduto, Hill Law, AZ, PLLC, Jennifer Hill, Landry Law Office, PLLC, William Troy Landry, Law Office of Janelle A. McUrchin, Law Office of Rebecca S. Bell, PLLC, Law Office of Rosemary Gordon Panuccio, Law Office of Samantha Sue Elledge, PLLC, Riddle Law Firm, PLLC, Joy L. Riddle, Whitmer Law, PLLC, Henry Edward Whitmer. There is one optional extension period remaining, and this contract is used by our Public Defense Services Department. ROQ 205526 for on-call water resources engineering services. It's recommended approval of Amendment Number 3 to exercise the optional extension period from March 28th, 2024 through March 27th of 2025 with the following suppliers: AECOM Technical Services Incorporated, Atkins North America Incorporated, Consor Engineers LLC, Intellis Incorporated, HDR Engineering Incorporated, J.E. Fuller Hydrology and Geomorphology Incorporated, Sonomas, Stanley Consultants Incorporated, West Consultants Incorporated, Wilson and Company Incorporated, Engineers and Architects, WSP USA Environment and Infrastructure. There's one optional extension period remaining on this contract, and it is used by our Development Services Department, the Public Works Division. Third is ROQ 205926 for on-call transportation planning services. It's recommended approval of Amendment Number 3 to exercise the optional extension period from March 28th of 2024 through March 27th, 2025 with the following suppliers: AECOM Technical Services Incorporated, Dibble, Michael Baker International Incorporated, Wilson and Company Incorporated, Engineers and Architects. There's one optional extension period remaining on this contract, and the contract is used by our Development Services, the Community Development, and Public Works divisions. Fourth, we have ROQ 207026 for Airport Engineering Design and Construction Project Management Services. It's recommended approval of Amendment Number 3 to exercise the optional extension period from March 24th of 2024 through March 23rd of 2025 with Dibble. There is one optional extension period remaining, and the contract is used by our Development Services Department, the Public Works Division. Next, the board is requested to approve the following purchase requests per Pinal County Procurement Code Section PC1-350, governing competition in practicable purchases over $100,000 in the amount of $340,686.44. With Oracle America, we are purchasing annual maintenance and support services for our J.D. Edwards, our E1 system. Department here is Information Technology. In the amount of $524,465, with the supplier election system and software. We purchased 4 DS950 tabulators, which includes installation and training, and the department here is our elections department. Lastly, the board is here notified of the following cooperative purchases that have been made. PO number 251339 with FCI Constructors Incorporated in the amount of $107,588. We're doing office space conversion to include a restroom and a storage area in the 1891 courthouse. Our facilities department has purchased that. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? Hearing, seeing none. May I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the purchasing division report for March 20th.
I have a motion. I'm sorry. The gravelly voice is really cool. I'm getting that one. So I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second, as presented.
Motion and second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. The purchasing division report is approved. Thank you very much, Ms. Woods. Moving on to item 14, this is consent items. All items indicated by an asterisk will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. At this time, I'm asking to pull items E, S, and AK. Supervisor Surdy, I believe, is asked to pull items I and AI. Are there others?
L. Lincoln, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me? L as in Lincoln.
L as in
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Love.
Are there any other items, county management, members of the public? Mr. Reveles. Item AE. AE. Okay. All right. Any others? Hearing none. May I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent agenda, items A through AK, with the exception of E. Edward, L. Lincoln, S. Sam, AE, and AK.
You got your L in there. I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I got my L.
Okay. Ms. Kennedy.
So if we can include items I and AI.
To include
That was Supervisor Surdy's.
I and AI, forgive me. We will exclude those from the consent as well.
That works for you? Okay, very good. So I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Let's move to, I'm just going to go down the list as I have them presented here. So item E. Item E is discussion approval of Chairman Mike Goodman's appointment of William Edward Tanner of Florence, Arizona, to the Corps Local Detention Officers Retirement Board. Mr. Tanner, are you present? Right there. There you go. I thought you looked familiar. So this is to honor him and thank him for serving out the term due to a vacancy. And this will be from March 21-24 to August 28, 2026. And we appreciate your willingness to serve on the Corps Local Board, the Detention Officers Retirement Board. Your dedication and commitment is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. We have a thing we do. So let's present. What?
Vote first.
Okay, fine. Okay. Do I have a, can I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item number E. Edward as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we have a presentation. I'll stand in for Chairman Goodman if you'd like to take a picture.
Just bend your knees a lot.
better looking too. You did not just say that. And 3, 2, nice. One more. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Thank you.
Okay, we have now item S, as in Sam. S is.
You're not going in order.
What? I'm just going down the list. I'm just going down the list.
You skipped I then.
I'll come back to it. It's on my list.
I comes before L.
I know, but this is it's my prerogative. I'm chairman today. So item S is discussing resolution number 032024, GRIC, HHW, and this is talking about non-congregate shelters. And Ms. Patel, could you please explain what this is?
Yes, thank you, Chairman, Board. My name is Heather Patel, and I'm with the Office of Budget and Finance. And actually, Meredith with Horizon Health and Wellness is here today, so I'd like to ask her to come up so she can tell you more about her project.
Well, since she's here, let's bring her up.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hello. Horizon Health and Wellness, we are requesting $363,000 to renovate a facility that we have in Apache Junction. It's 1,900 square feet into a non-congregate shelter for the community. This would rehab into 5 bedrooms. 1 bedroom would accommodate a family of up to 4, and the other 4 bedrooms would fit 1 to 2 persons. We believe that we can serve around 65 homeless individuals a year, pulling them off the streets. And then we also have supportive services to help connect them to temporary shelter and permanent shelter and healthcare resources as well.
It's a great program. I just wanted the community to know what this is, so thank you. And this is through the Gila River Indian Community, the grant?
Yes.
Correct, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Yeah,
and
one
questions, yes.
I have one question, because it's going to be asked of us. Who will be housed here when it's complete?
Homeless individuals from the streets. We were recently granted through DES a homeless outreach team, so they are doing street outreach throughout Pinal County and connecting them to resources. So they would probably be the ones placing, or if anyone calls, we are a coordinated entry point for the county. So those would be the individuals that we would be putting in there and then working with them to get them housing.
So local people?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much.
Local people and not just walking in off the street, but appointed through this group.
Yes.
That's correct.
Not
Thank you.
recently arrived from China, Afghanistan.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today. So item S, going to get a motion for approval, please. Or just get a motion of something.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item S as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion. Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item S passes. Thank you very much. And since I still have the gavel, Mr. Sturdy, item AK, please, is discussing. This was an interesting one. Chief Thomas, come on down. This was a curiosity. 2 short barrel rifles to put out. What's going on here?
Matt Thomas, Chief Deputy, Pinal County Sheriff's Office, Vice Chair, Supervisors. These are 2 rifles that are being donated to the agency for us to use for either patrol or for specialty units. And how this came about was essentially this company is one of many that manufactures these types of rifles. And typically speaking, when we look at rifles, when we want to test rifles, we're looking at different companies. We have them come down, they do a demo, we shoot their guns, we put them through a bunch of testing, and then we look at what we like, what we don't like. Their methodology, when we looked at the company, we were looking at the guns, and we said, hey, we want to test your rifles. And they said, well, for us to send a guy down, plane tickets, car rental, ammo, all that stuff, it's cheaper for us to just donate 2 weapons to the agency. We're confident enough in our weapons that we're just going to donate them, give them to the agency. You guys shoot them, use them how you use them, and if you like our product, which we think you will, then in the future, maybe you'll pick our weapons through a procurement process. And so that's how this came to be.
Okay, because this is not just some rifle that just appeared. When I read this, I thought, what the heck is going on?
No, these are...
So this is for procurement for a later...
Possibly.
Well, possibly.
Yeah, they're donating them for us to use and to put through and put on the street for use with our guys. And short-barreled rifles are preferred more for our guys that are doing specialty work. If they're having to do entry work on houses, CQB type of stuff, the short-barreled rifles are preferred because they're more compact and you can move around easier with them.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. I appreciate it. Any questions from the board?
Are they semi-auto?
No, these are going to be, you know what? I don't know, to be honest with you. I think they're full auto, but I am not 100% on that.
And do they stay in the vehicle or do they go home with the officer?
It depends on who they would not stay in the vehicle, only when the officer's on duty. So typically speaking, when our guys go home, the rifles go with them wherever they're at. The only time they're in the vehicle in a carrier would be when that person's on duty.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the board? In that case, may I get a motion for AK, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve item AK as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion's approved. Thank you very much. And I just find it interesting. It's AK for a rifle just because. I mean, I assume that's luck of the draw, but that was just pretty weird. Okay, moving on. We have item I.
Okay, I asked that this be pulled. I'm not against it, but we have had issues in Superior with no service. So could you just explain, in case my office gets questions, what exactly are we going to help them with?
Yes, thank you, Supervisor Surdy, Vice Chair McClure, members of the board. We have had an IGA with the town of Superior for about 4 years now. They tried to have their own animal control, but they were kind of making it be the public works guy, and he had other things to do. They built some kennels in the back of their new police department and asked us if we could help them with animal care and control services. One of the problems that we came across in it was the last IGA was written to where we had 2 officers that lived in Superior. I was going to be able to allow them to stay in Superior twice a week, and they would pay for their services just a little bit of money, and then those 2 officers quit, and I didn't have anybody to cover Superior. So instead of being there 2 days a week, we were going up when we're called. And some of the calls that they call us for are things that we're not authorized to do, like go in a house and remove an animal or go in a backyard and remove an animal because they told us to. So we have designed this one that we will be there once a week as we have help, if we're not too busy, and we will patrol their areas and help them out. But we don't have enough people right now to be there all the time.
So once a week, so let's say that day is Wednesday. What if there's a terrible problem on a Monday? What happens?
Then we'll go out there. We still service them, even though the contract is expired. We still go up there, and we do have after-hour services for them, emergency services, and they do call us still.
And where would the personnel be dispatched from?
From the sheriff's department after hours, and from the call center, they forward those to us, or they call our dispatcher.
You said you have 2 folks that lived right there, but where are the closest people that live now?
Now I have one that lives in Florence and one that lives in almost Apache Junction. So they're a little closer now.
Okay.
But unfortunately, we only have 6 officers. We're down 4, so we just didn't have the manpower to go up there. And honestly, we're getting pulled in 20 different directions with only 6 officers.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Michaels. I'm sorry, can I get a motion for this item, please?
I'd make a motion that we approve item I.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item I passes. Item AI, Mr. Sturdy, I'll just follow along on your footsteps.
Yes. Pleased to see that we're adding more equipment and that they're Durangos. And I would like to know, are they four-wheel drive? By any chance, can these be used for the very successful and much-needed range deputy program?
Chair, Vice Chair, Supervisors, Matt Thomas, Pinal County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy. These particular Dodges they're two-wheel drives because they're for their patrol-rated purposes. They are being purchased through a Gila River grant for our traffic unit specifically. So they are going to go to the traffic guys and most likely will be used for our VCU, which is our Vehicular Crimes Unit, which deals with all the fatal accidents throughout the county. So they're going to most likely be used for those. To your point, though, I don't know that we would go with Dodge Durangos necessarily for our range guys, but the four-wheel drives for the range guys, because that has been very successful. And as you've seen recently with the BLM land closure and pushing that problem to a different area, they've got new things to focus on, and we've got new partnerships to strengthen and a new area of residents that are unhappy with some of the problems that are associated with that. And so our range guys have been stretched very thin, and they definitely can use any and all of the equipment that they need to do that job.
So, I would just recommend to the sheriff or whoever's the sheriff and Leo definitely strengthen that part of the department because it is more and more of a problem with the non-urban areas. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for AI? Hearing none.
I'll move we approve AI. Item AI.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second as presented.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item AI is passed. All right, moving on. Supervisor Kavanaugh, item L.
So this is another GRIC grant, $30,000 for the Hope International Food Pantry, which is in Coolidge. And I want to just say how much we appreciate the funding, not just for this item, but GRIC through those funds. If I did the math right, it's just over almost $1.2 million we're approving today, various things that came from GRIC. So for the food pantry, I'm thankful, and the rest as well. So with that, I move to approve item L as presented.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item L passes. Item AE. Mr. Avellis, did you want to come speak?
No, do not want to speak, but want to ask as part of discussion. Since the last year's report by the superintendent's office, there has been some confusion about the illegal donations that were made to nonpartisan candidates for school boards throughout the county. And since that previous report, I want to ask of the superintendent's office whether those illegal donations were returned as requested by the Republican Party that made the donations, and if they were not, what can be done to ensure that unlawful donations are not described by the president of Apache Junction Unified School District, who recently said that it was lawful for her to receive the unlawfully donated funds. So it's a question that I'd like to have an answer to.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Keller, is that under the purview of the superintendent of public education, or, well, of Jill's office?
I believe it is.
Okay. Ms. Broussard, are you here? I don't see you. Okay, we would have to look into that.
Mr. Chairman, you may want to consider, because I believe there was also a request earlier from Mr. Reck about having a possible work session to describe, some of the duties, responsibilities that fall under the superintendent of schools. Maybe this could be addressed at that point in time also.
Okay. Does that suit you, Mr. Revelis?
Yes. So in light of that, will the item be withdrawn?
It could be continued.
I would have to defer to, I don't know if there's a timing issue on this from Ms. Broussard's office, of how soon she needs that year-end report filed. I'm unaware.
Here we go.
Oh, do we know? It has to be done by May 31st. Okay. I'm told that it needs to be done by May 31st, so yes, it can be continued.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So in this case, we can, without a vote, we can continue this to.
We would need a vote to continue to the next board meeting, which is April the 3rd, if that is enough time.
It probably is. Is that going to be enough time? April 3rd?
I don't know if we can speak for Jill if she's available or not. So, I think we could continue to April 3rd and do our best efforts to make sure Ms. Broussard is here. But if not, you may need to continue again to the following meeting.
Let's try for April 3rd. So can I get a motion to continue this item to April 3rd, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we continue item AE to April 3rd.
Very well. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion, item AE is continued till April 3rd. Okay. Next.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we reconsider item X on the consent agenda. I meant to call out this one for, to begin with, and I didn't grab it.
Did you say X as in X-ray or?
Yes.
Agent X.
Joe out there? Somebody out there?
Someone here to speak for that?
Joe Ortiz?
Mr. Ortiz, you here?
He was here earlier.
Oh, we'll have to go with Mr. Wanamaker.
If we can take the actual vote to reconsider.
I'm sorry. Yes, we'll do that. So we need a motion to reconsider. Thank you. Item X.
So
make it a motion, please.
My motion is to reconsider item X from the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Mr. Wanamaker, you are up, sir.
Well, it's almost good afternoon, Vice Chairman and members of the board. So, yeah, item X, this is for a grant application for the Safe Streets for All program, which essentially will be a countywide study to look at safety challenges with regards to traffic, transportation, and get those projects or those problem areas into a study, which then would make those eligible for future federal funding. So are there specific questions on this grant application?
Thank you, Mr. Wanamaker. The concerns I have is that every federal grant comes with strings attached. And this one, we have, it says the recipient has not yet taken actions related to project to improve racial equity and reduce barriers to opportunity, but intends to take relevant actions. And then that is on attachment C. And then project includes, and I don't know if this applies to us, project includes new or improved walking, biking, rolling access. Are the strings attached to this reasonable?
Supervisor Kavanaugh, yeah, so this is a normal part of any federal grant, as you pointed out. And so with this project, there'll be several public meetings where we engage the public all throughout the county to hear their traffic concerns, traffic-related problems. And so those projects that end up in the plan should be done in a way that's fair, equitable, and across the whole county. So we're not targeting any specific area or any specific community. It's countywide. So as a part of the process, we will be addressing those items that's in the grant agreement.
And it also says, Chris, and you may, these grants are sort of routine, but it says the recipient has not yet taken actions to consider climate change and environmental justice impacts of the projects, but will take relevant actions described in the supporting narrative below. So what is it that we're going to do about climate change with this?
Supervisor Kavanaugh, that's a great question, and to be honest, I don't know the extent of what that really means. Our consultant that we're looking to use it has done these types of grants before, and they've assured us they have the capability to address all of the requirements of the grant. So here we are. We're a Republican Board of Supervisors. We represent all the folks in the county, but how much are we, the bottom line is how much we end up spending on pavement and how much do we spend on studying climate change. The supporting narrative for this says the project will utilize U.S. DOT Equitable Transportation Explorer Climate and Economic Justice screening tools to identify scope, prioritize project with transportation insecurity, climate and disaster risk burden, environmental burden, health vulnerability, social vulnerability. It doesn't sound like a lot of pavement. This approach will avoid scoping, prioritizing, recommending, implementing projects with anticipated unacceptable climate impacts or impacts to environmental justice populations. We need the money from the federal government to do these projects, but they always include this crap. And we have to, as the board, if we want the federal funds, we have to agree to this, right? If we don't start here, we can't get on to the next grant, right? Vice Chair, Supervisor, that is correct. We do have to agree to these conditions in order to get the federal funding for this study and also for future, for actual implementation of any of the projects that come out of this study. That is correct.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing, seeing none. May I get a motion on item X?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Mr.
I'll make a
Moderator.
motion to approve item X.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-1. Thank you. Okay, now moving on to next item. I'm going to recess the Board of Supervisors regular meeting to convene the Library District Board of Directors meeting. And we will move on. Let's see when I find the page. All right, this has an entire item in it. So all items indicated by an asterisk will be included by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a board member, county manager, or member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Is there an item that anyone from the board wishes to call? Hearing none. County manager? Members of the public? Seeing, hearing none. May I get a motion, please, for item A?
I'll make a motion to approve item A on the Pinal County Library District Board meeting.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. We will now adjourn the Library District Board of Directors meeting and reconvene the Board of Supervisors regular meeting. And we are on to item 16. This is a public hearing and a discussion, approval, disapproval of ordinance number 2024-PZ-PA-012-23, an ordinance approving case PZ-PA-012-23. Good Lord, I can barely say that. And
Vice Chairman McClure, board members, Larry Mason, Development Services, here to present the item you just read, Brady 28.
And just for reference, item 16 and 17 will be discussed together.
That's right, sir. PZPA 01223 is a minor comprehensive plan amendment. PZ 04923 is the associated rezone. This description is to amend the comprehensive plan from mid-intensity activity center to employment and rezone the subject property from GR to industrial 2. The parcel size is 27.92 acres and is located about 3/4 miles west of Thornton Road and along Maricopa-Casa Grande Highway. The owner is Brady and Brady Properties, LLC, Brady James Dean Living Trust, and Marietta Brady. The applicant is Jessica Sarkeesian, Upfront Planning Entitlements, LLC. All right, here's the county map. This is the location in the Casa Grande area. The vicinity map, you can see the subject property is surrounded by the Casa Grande municipality. The subject site is zoned general rural. This is a clearer picture of its location, I think. Here's an aerial map of the subject site. There are a couple of homes on this property. You can see the surrounding city. This is the site plan that was provided to staff. It is kind of plain. This is one of our considerations that we'll get to. This is the subject site, and this is the area that was posted for the notice for this meeting. We can just go through these. These are for your reference. Facing south, east, west, there's some activity there. So thank you. There was no development plan provided. As I mentioned, in the site plan was kind of rather plain. This did have an impact on how the commission supported this. This is located in the Pinal County Technology Park. Again, I mentioned the County Island is surrounded by the city of Casa Grande, and the surrounding area is manufacturing and industry designation. Staff received 2 letters in support from the city of Casa Grande and a land advisors company, and the property has legal access. So the commission voted to approve the plan amendment unanimously, and because of that lack of development plan, the chair had chosen to not support that with an 8-1 vote.
I'm sorry, it's an 8-1
Yes.
against?
8 supporting, 8, 1
Okay,
against.
just checking. Okay.
So I'll go into detail on that too. So we're asking you to determine if the proposed amendment creates a more comprehensive development for the site as part of a larger development program for the Pinal County Comprehensive Plan, as well as determine if the rezone request conforms to the intensities that are within the range of the identified land uses. So there was some concern that in allowing the requested zone without a development plan, there was some hesitation. We were bringing this to the board for your consideration and vote.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mason. Is the applicant here?
The applicant is here, and I believe there is a presentation ready.
Ms. Sarkeesian, I know you were around someplace. There you are.
Morning, Supervisors. Jessica Sarkeesian, Upfront Planning, 1811 South Alma School Road in Mesa. Okay, so I'm like, surprise, there's a PowerPoint. Great, thank you. So as staff mentioned, this is for a comprehensive plan amendment and a rezone to industrial. The site is is in the heart of Casa Grande. It is actually technically not a county island, which is why we're coming before you, because there is a strip of parcel along the railroad that connects it all the way to the other, further along to the west. Otherwise, we would just we've been in discussions with Casa Grande, which is why they're in support, because they were actually directly adjacent to the Chang Chung facility. And this site also has rail access. So you can see that white strip. You can see along Maricopa Casa Grande Highway that continues all the way west. So how Casa Grande annexed all that area, and then if we were to annex, then we would create a county island, which is illegal. So that is why we're going through this process right now. Currently, Chang Chung and the industrial properties are, and there's, Abbott and Frito-Lay and all kinds of stuff, and Kohler is all massive amounts going on to the west side. Great employment area for the county, really important. And so this owner, they actually have they're actually a house on there. She currently lives there. And the family has come together, and they're trying to figure out what to do with the next steps as they move out of that house and what they're going to do with it. And so we have gone through the process to change it to industrial, which is surrounding the site completely, especially with the agreement with the railroad to put in rail spurs. So they don't have a developer. They're just a farming family that has the property right now, and they're just trying to entitle it so that they can liquidate it when they're ready. And then you can see on the comp plan here, you have in Casa Grande, it is surrounded by employment, and that's why we're going after this to I-2. So Pinal County has the area for GR because that's base zoning. And so as you can see in Casa Grande, we're surrounded by I-2, which is all the stuff that's going on with the high intensity, the chemical manufacturer directly across the street. And we also have some I-1s directly north of the railroad and to the south.
That's Abbott right across the street, or across the railroad.
Across the railroad, yes, is Abbott.
Okay. Just checking. Okay.
Yeah. So you have the industrial park, which is the purple, and then you have all the high-intensity KV lines, and it's just a hot spot, as I'm sure you guys are all aware, of really good opportunities. I keep pressing the wrong button. My apologies. So you can see where that's at. And then here you can see it's like the little piece corner directly adjacent to parcel 1, which is the Chang Chung facility you saw in the aerial with the tall parcels. So here, this is just some news about the Chang Chung facility that was going in. It's a big deal. And then you also have the other industrial pieces that are in the news: Kohler, Wellbridge, more sewer expansions, half a dozen additional users going in. The whole area is going to be a huge employment and opportunity zone for the county and the Casa Grande. So critical rail spur, we have the city of Casa Grande, also land advisors who are representing that area in full support of this rezone. Mid-intensity, so GR is no longer appropriate. There's actually residential house on there, and they were preferred to, based on what's going on, they would like to leave. So therefore, that's why another reason why it does not meet the current general comprehensive plan category for activity center, which includes some mid-intensity commercial and residential. It's no longer really suitable for that. So kind of a brief, quick overview. I know it's been a long morning, so I just wanted to ask if you guys have any questions, but it is in line with the surrounding community and what we're requesting.
It's a big commercial space. Are there any questions from the board? Supervisor Miller.
Not necessarily a question, but the no vote because it doesn't have a site plan done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what you want, though. You want to market a piece of land that you have options, or you may have market, may be able to sell that in a couple of different pieces.
Yeah.
I think it restricts you when you attach site plans to them, and it doesn't give you the flexibility. So I don't understand the no vote there, but anyway, this makes sense. Yes. I mean, they're just surrounded by industrial. They're not going to live there, and they're not going to have anything else. Any need to stay there.
Correct. And just for a future, for when you see things like this come by in other parts of the state, and when projects come through that are major stakeholders, typically they like to not name their names and say who they are before the entitlements get done. So as the pieces get more intense and bigger, you're probably going to see some more of that, because usually you'll hear, when others say they're concerned about the no site plan attached to it. It gets rezoned, and then on Monday there's a press release. So there's usually something going on. This one we unfortunately don't have one, but that's what you're going to see more so people have opportunity, so your economic development department can go and market it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kissian. Any other questions? Okay, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to these two items? Hearing and seeing none, we will close the, not only have I opened the public hearing, but I will close the public hearing. And so at this time, if there's no other questions from the board, may I get a motion for item 16?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 16 as presented.
With no stipulations.
With no stipulations.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, item 16 passes. Ms. Mason, do you have something else to
I'm just waiting
throw?
for a motion.
Oh, you're just hanging out. Okay. Item number 17. May I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 17 as presented.
There's also with 10
the public.
stipulations.
We have to do a public hearing.
We
did it?
We did that. Yeah. I thought I did that right. Okay. So, but in this is 10 stipulations.
With 10 stipulations.
So your motion is to approve with 10 stipulations. Is there a second? I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Item 17 is approved. Thank you very much, Ms. Mason. Appreciate your time. Item number 18 is a public hearing and discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 032024-RD23-132, a resolution ordering the abandonment and extinguishment of an easement on Greasewood Street and Mule Shoe Road.
Good
Thank you,
afternoon.
Ms. Garza. Hi there.
Hi, how are you? Good afternoon, Vice Chairman, members of the board, Celeste Garza, Development Services, Public Works. I'm here for item 18. This is abandonment and extinguishment of an easement located on both Greasewood and a piece of Mule Shoe. So the abandonment would be on Greasewood, west of the intersection, and then on Mule Shoe, north of the intersection of Greasewood. So the property owners that are requesting abandonment lie on parcels 20 and 20A that you see on there, and then 18E. So those are the two different ownerships that you that have requested the abandonment. Legal access wouldn't be compromised with the abandonment. Currently, we only maintain up to the intersection. I don't think I have a pointer on here, but if you drew a square right there at the intersection, that's where we stop maintenance. Maintenance vehicles currently turn around by a three-point turn, so they'll come in the Mule Shoe and go south, back up, turn around. They don't make a complete cul-de-sac movement, nor do they do it several other locations in this Apache Junction area. If they were to do that, they could potentially be traversing private property. This big open area that you see in the north west corner is privately owned, so there's no easement there of where I think folks used to turn around for many, many years, but didn't realize they weren't in public right away. The petitioner has obtained all the correct signatures, 100% of the adjoining property owners, and there's no current utilities within the alignment or anybody.
Can we go back, Celeste?
Sure.
So you're saying 32D is the private that people turn around? Which one?
20A, in that big open dirt space.
Okay.
Let me see.
Oh, I see. It's purple. Purple.
Purple.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You got it. Here's some photos. This is looking north from the intersection of Greasewood, and this is the one that's currently looking west from the intersection. So now there's a home. It's on the southern side of Greasewood. That big open space is to the right of that, where there's construction equipment kind of in that existing easement that's currently a potential abandonment today. I am happy to answer any questions. I think folks are here for the hearing.
Are there any questions from the board? Supervisor
will
Sturdy,
have
I see a
from-
thought bubble.
I know this is going to be a public hearing on this. Ordinarily, these usually pass with no opposition, but this one, my office has got quite a bit of opposition, including videos showing that this is needed for turnarounds, and people have been using it for years. So I want to
Vice Chairman, Supervisor Surdy, there's been, I think, 2 emails that have been sent. One was from the opposition, where I think she's videoed going down the roadway, and the other was from the property owner who is wanting the abandonment, showing you how a trash vehicle does make the movements without needing that extra space. So she's here today, and she can kind of speak to that. So one was from the opposition, and I think the other one was from those folks that are petitioning for the abandonment.
Yeah, I got some more on
Did
the
you?
non-abandonment as well. But they must not have forwarded to you, so.
Yeah,
okay.
from the staff's perspective, we don't have an issue maintaining the intersection itself. So it's just, it's one of those things where I think folks don't realize that they don't have prescriptive rights to property because it's been that way so for so many years.
And if this abandonment happens, does it restrict even more? I mean, I believe that even school buses turn around there, et cetera, a lot of deliveries. I mean, there's Amazon trucks on the, 7 days a week now. Is there any way that we can, it's been like this forever, another few weeks to rework this and give some kind of a safety turnaround in that area? If you'd almost go back to that map if you could.
Yeah, I can go back there. Vice Chairman, Supervisor Surdy, I'm not sure this is the location that a bus would even plan for a bus stop. I think the closest main north-south route would be the Mountain View Road area, and I think the pickup would be there. WB50 large commercial vehicles will look ahead before they kind of planned it. If we needed to plan for a standardized cul-de-sac, we would have to obtain additional easement outside of the 66 feet that we have at the intersection. We would need nearly 100 feet.
So just to interject, would that require buying right away then to do that?
Yes.
Yes, because as of now, they're running on private land.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you. So if the property owners put a fence at the edge of their property here, would cars be able to turn around, or would they impact the fence?
So it's hard to not be able to point. Is there a pointer on here? Okay. Is it this light? There we go. If you guys can turn your necks around. I'm really sorry about that. Oh, here we go. Perfect. So if I'm coming down Greasewood and I need to turn around, I go into here on this mule shoe easement, and then I back up, and then I go back the other direction. Does that make sense?
In the video that we received that you've viewed, go back to the map if you would, please.
Sorry, I'm clicking.
So the direction that car was traveling was what?
The car was traveling this direction, so westbound.
Okay, and where was the U-turn done?
Right here at the Mule Shoe intersection is where you saw the trash truck.
But the car, did it turn into 28?
Yes, she came over here and turned around in this open space.
Okay, so drove on the private property.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Okay, this is a public hearing, and so, thank you, Ms. Garza. This is a public hearing, so I have 3 cards here. I have Ms. Shelley Irwin. Are you here? Oh, there you are. Please come up to the podium and state your name and general location and give it a whirl for 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Shelley Irwin, 4617 East Greasewood, the corner southeast of there. Anyway, I did not drive off the easement when I went down and made the U-turn. Can't use a pointer. And she was incorrect with no maintenance has been done there, because over 10 years ago, Jim Higginbotham oversaw the releveling, installing road base to make it drain successfully down the center. But anyway, I oppose the abandonment of Greasewood Street west of Muleshoe. I do not oppose the abandonment of Muleshoe. For almost 20 years that we have lived here, this wide, flat, level area has been used by everyone driving down to turn around at the end of the narrow hillside street. Utility workers, garbage and recycle, delivery trucks, emergency vehicles, and general public that are looking for an address or they're lost. I have used Greasewood Street to access the wash that runs through the easement, riding my horses to go to state trust land. After Greasewood Street was paved over 10 years ago, John Marsala, the homeowner to the south of the proposed abandonment, worked with the county to bring road base and grade the area for drainage. There is a berm on the north side of the pavement to keep rainwater from running downhill like it did before paving and flooding 2 homes. This directs the rainwater down the street, caused flooding west of Muleshoe. They worked to level the area so the water slowly drained down the center of the street into the wash. If they want to change the abandonment to only Muleshoe, I will have no opposition. John Marsala, his family owned the property, couldn't be here because he has doctors. So he wrote that I strongly oppose the abandonment of Greasewood Street west of Muleshoe. In 1968, John's family bought the adjacent property to the south. Since this time, it has been used as a safe place for people to turn around. East of Muleshoe, Greasewood Street is a narrow, 1-lane road on the side of a hill with no suitable area for traffic to turn around. For about 100 yards, the pavement is only 14 to 15 foot wide, with the hillside going up to the south and a drop-off to the north. Before paving, Pinal County regularly graded the road and the area where everyone turns around. After paving, a berm was installed for the last 100 yards down the hill to stop the rainwater from flooding 2 houses. This brought all the rainwater west of Muleshoe, where it formed a small lake or a very large puddle after a rainstorm. John Marsala worked with Jim Higginbotham to bring the road base, level the road with a gentle slope so the rainwater ran slowly down the center of the road to the wash. In 2020, a developer bought the land on the north and excavated. The county stopped him and graded to make the cul-de-sac usable again.
I'm sorry, Ms. Irwin, are you almost done because your
Yes,
time
I'm
is up?
almost done. Again, this land has changed hands, and the new owners seek to inconvenience traffic and take away the safe area to turn around.
Thank you.
And he says, abandon Muleshoe if you would like, but please do not abandon Greasewood.
Okay.
Tasha, can I ask a question of
Sure.
this? Is it okay to ask a question of the?
Yes.
Do other people ride their horses on that easement?
Yes.
And that would do what to them if they couldn't ride there?
Well, they would have to ride up Mountain View or down Superstition Boulevard, which is a lot more traffic.
Okay, thank you.
This is a safe area to ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Irwin. Next up is George Batiste. I hope I said that correctly.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am the owner of the property. Just to touch base real quick on using the easement to get to public trust land, you have to trespass to do that. This is all private property through there off the easement. There's no way to get to trust land without leaving the easement and trespassing on people's property. But anyway, so I bought the property 2 years ago, wanting to split it in half with my neighbor, Chris and Sandra. Everybody's 100% correct. Trash can guy used to come in there, do a huge circle, cloud of dust. You know, I mean, it would just dust us out. The other property to the bottom of that has all been developed now. There's been 3 houses built in the last 2 years since I've started this process. And since then, nobody really even touches that easement that I've seen. And I don't know if did you guys see the picture, the video of the trash truck turning around? Yeah, so he turns around and he doesn't even touch that part of the easement at all. I got just the pictures of it all the way around, but you know, there's a sign posting the hearing. He's on this driveway. The new people that just recently purchased the property there to the bottom of that. They are in agreement. It's pretty much their driveway to their house. It's the end of the road. I received everything from every utility company. I've got everybody's signatures that I was required to get, and this was supposed to be closed last November. There was some movement around in Pinal County. It got pushed to February, and now here we are. We even cut off the corner so that there was a little bit more room for turnaround. But other than that, I would like to see it go away. Yeah, I mean, if Pinal County wants to buy it for a big cul-de-sac, I'll be happy to sell it. But just my 2 cents on it, and appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you, Mr. Batiste. A question for Ms. Garza, real quick, just for Ms. Garza. So the mule shoe easement, I see it's double wide right there, right? So
Yes.
Mr. Batiste's property is on the left. And then on the right, is that attached to the green property in this picture?
Yes, that's correct. So there's 33 on his parcel and then 33 on Ms. Kilsing's
Okay.
property.
And the person in the green property there wants to have this abandoned as well to take it?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah, and just with Ms. Irwin's remarks about maintenance, yes, until that lot owner developed a house and built their driveway, that's at the point where we stopped maintaining beyond the intersection itself.
Okay, thank you. Next up, I have Ms. Sandra Kiesling.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name's Sandra Kiesling. I live on Greasewood Street. I am the owner of the green bit of property up there. I did have something prepared to say, so now I'm going to stumble through everything because everything I had prepared, I think that Celeste pretty much covered. In regards to Ms. Irwin's comments about riding horses, if she is riding on Greasewood Street, she drops down into the wash from there. And the wash is all private property. She's not accessing public lands. There are no school buses that come down our street. There never have been. The trash truck does turn around in the intersection, and there is actually more room in the intersection for the trash truck to turn around than if it were to continue down past the intersection onto Greasewood, because it can utilize mule shoe there. It can make a 3-point turn utilizing mule shoe. The part of mule shoe that we are requesting to be abandoned, if you were standing at that intersection, you wouldn't even know a road existed there. Half of the road is covered in creosote and palo verde trees. The other half of the road, a contractor owned that property for a brief bit of time, and he regraded it. And when he did, he actually dropped that side of the intersection by about 5 feet, or that side of the road. So the road's kind of like this. I think I've covered everything I wanted to make my point. Do you have any questions for me? Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming.
It.
Appreciate it. All right. Any other members of the public care to speak? Hearing, seeing none, we will close the public hearing on item 18. And board have any other questions?
No.
Hearing, seeing none, then I would ask for a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve item 18? 18, as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Would it be possible to do an alternative motion to only abandon mule shoe?
Mr. Chairman, that would take a friendly amendment to the motion that's on the floor.
My motion would be to table the item indefinitely until we have more time to study it. So we have competing motions. I don't know how we resolve all these.
A second, so.
There was no second. So the item dies. Item dies at this time, lack of a second.
My motion is to table the item indefinitely.
Yep. So there is a new motion on the floor, correctly?
There is, yes.
Indefinitely doesn't mean forever. That means it would come back. I would second that.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion is, or the item is tabled indefinitely. All right, item 19 is a public hearing, discussion, approval, disapproval of resolution number 032024-PCSO, the revised fee schedule for Pinal County Sheriff's Office, Records Department. Mark Lamb's the presenter, but seeing that he's not here, you'll have to do Chief Hedrick. I'm not sorry, not Chief Hedrick. Matt Thomas, sorry, sir. You're close, right? You guys have almost the same haircut.
Well, same first name. So. Good afternoon again, Supervisors, Vice Chair, Matt Thomas, Pinal County Sheriff's Office Chief Deputy. And this item, what we are asking to do is change our fee and meet the Arizona statute allowable $46 per hour of video. And why this is coming to be is we are moving into a more video-heavy world with body cams now being introduced in our agency, and with just the video content of our social feeds and some of the stuff we do in investigations.
Are there questions from the board? So I have a question. So
Yes, sir.
is it $46 per hour of video or $46 an hour to produce the video to be?
It's the production of, so $46 per hour, per man hour to produce that video. And typically speaking, what we run is about, for every 4 minutes of video, a minute of county employee work to process that and get it ready.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
I didn't read, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I didn't read the ARS statute, but this is for if someone makes a civil request. If there's video for a criminal trial, it's just turned over. Is that right?
Correct. This is for public records requests. I should have been clear about that, Supervisor Kavanaugh. Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Chief Thomas.
Yes.
So this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this item? We're getting kind of skinny on the public. So hearing and seeing none. Well, see, I'll open the public hearing. Okay. Nobody's there. We'll close the public hearing. And there's no other questions from the board. May I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 19 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Aye. Hearing none. Motion passes. Thank you, Chief Thomas. All right. Item 20, discussion, approval, disapproval of a fiscal year 23-24 budget amendment to increase the expenditure capacity in the Constable's General Fund Cost Center for one deputy constable position and associated operational cost or expenses. And I have a few folks here. Presenter is Mr. Elliott. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Scott Elliott, presiding constable for Pinal County. Thanks for hanging around. It's been a long.
We don't get a choice. We're stuck.
Yeah, about that. We're simply requesting an additional or creating an additional deputy constable position to heighten, obviously, our safety and our ability to provide our duties much more enhanced to the public. Right now, with absences for training and other requirements, anytime we're gone, we're leaving a hole in our precincts to complete our duties. And there are some duties that we have not been addressing that could be addressed with the additional manpower. I'm sure the other constables are going to want their moment to speak, but that's the introduction. Is we're asking for the creation of the additional deputy constable position and the related equipment to go with it.
Are there any questions from the board here? Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm clear. This is just one more deputy that would be shared by all of you?
That's correct.
Okay.
Is there another question?
No, I think that's the
question I would have then is, so would you share that debt? Well, you share it between all five of you, or all
six of us.
Six, thank you, six of you. Would there be certain days where you'd use this person as a backup for your duties? And so would you say, okay, well, like on Monday, you're going to come to my district, on Tuesday, you're going to come here, Wednesday, you'll come here?
That's the plan. It's obviously it's going to be workload dependent as far as we don't have dedicated days of when we get writs of restitution, but obviously our evictions are probably our highest threat in the removal of individuals on orders of protections that are exclusive use. That deputy is going to be our first go-to before we try to enlist another agency to send an officer out to support us.
Mm-hmm.
So that person is going to be full-time, moving around every day,
right?
Multiple locations.
Right, and then to stand in when you have medical issues as happens.
We've crossed that bridge in the last year or two.
Yes, and it's difficult for you to cover another area because of the vast area that you have to cover.
With our growth, and obviously the caseloads at the courts have increased. We do have the gentleman's agreement that we do help each other as much as we can, but it's becoming very increasingly difficult to give time up of my own for what I'm responsible for to go to Coolidge, Maricopa, or another precinct to fill that hole.
Certainly. All right, thank you. Any other questions from the Supervisor Miller?
I guess my question here is: are you going to monitor how many hours or time was spent in this district or in that district or this district?
It'll be tracked. What my intention, and we're all on the same page as far as our intentions, is to build administratively a calendar-based system is the best. What we're going to start out with as far as trying to list for the week what our obligations are. There's a lot of those obligations that come the same day, but the communication is going to be the core of the whole thing is communicating between the six of us, which we're all very good at. Fortunately, it's not the case in other locations.
These types of requests we typically see at the budget session, and we're kind of ahead of the game in this case because this will fall into this year's budget.
Correct.
And
we had actually put this in the last session. It's just we wanted to make sure we crossed the I's and dotted the T's and try to get the information gathered, which took us a little bit.
This was in the last budget consideration?
We submitted it to county management, yes, but it hadn't rose to your level until now.
Okay.
It's almost 160,000.
So
Supervisor Surdy.
not only sick days, but full vacations too, right? Which right now it's difficult for you.
Very difficult to plan any time of extended time off.
And Leo, I mean, the budget can stand this?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Surdy, yes, sir.
Okay.
So, one more question.
One more, and then Supervisor Kavanaugh.
So, and this is a position we don't have. So, I mean, has HR and everything, you've worked all that out?
HR has been
qualification.
Involved. Yeah, HR has been involved in the meetings as far as discussions all along the process. There will be some.
A person be post-certified? I mean,
this will be a certified police officer. That's required by statute that a deputy constable has to be a certified police officer. So most likely, there's some senior officers. There's some people that have recently retired that will probably be interested in a position of this type because it is some of the same work that they've been doing their whole career. Obviously, when I came in, it was the same work that I'd done throughout my career off and on. So I don't think we'll have an issue filling it, but it does have to be filled by a certified police officer.
It'll be based off of 40-hour work week.
Correct.
Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's a sworn officer, so it'll be dedicated to help the constables, whereas right now you have to pull deputies from somewhere else or a city, and is that difficult to do? Forgive me if you didn't cover that.
No, you're correct. This will be a deputy constable assigned to the constables directly answering to the presiding judge as statute.
And you have a hard time sometimes getting.
But right now, yes. Obviously, everybody's manpower dependent, and there are plenty of times that we call, and there's times we can plan ahead. obviously, but there's times that it's happening now. We need that other body, and they're not available, or they're extended to the point that it's not effective.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing, seeing none, may I get a motion, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve item 20 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? How many ayes was that?
Chairman.
One from me.
Oh, you go? Oh,
I said aye.
we, okay, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear it. So just checking to make sure. Okay, okay. Those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right, item 21, discussion approval, disapproval of an IGA between Arizona Department of Revenue, Pinal County, and Pinal Regional Transportation Authority. And this would be Mr. Keller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you may be aware, we have been working with Arizona Department of Revenue, and yes, and also with the PRTA, trying to come up with the processes, the forms, the procedures, the checks and balances, if you will, to go ahead and start to proceed to go ahead and issue refunds to those individuals who may have paid not may have, but who did pay the transaction privilege tax related to the PRTA that was held invalid. This IGA sets forth the obligations of the different parties. It's needed so that we can actually start to receive the data from ADOR and utilize county resources to help that process. This is the actual form has gone live on ADR's website. There are press releases out there, so businesses can download the form. It is actually Form 11433 on the ADOR website. And so this will become effective once signed on by the PRTA also, and that's scheduled for their agenda on Monday the 25th. So we are in the process of seeking your approval for this IGA so that we can go forward and exchange the data, utilize the resources, and start the refund process.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Supervisor Surtee.
No questions, just continue to be disappointed that this money may go back to the retailer vendors who did not, it's not their money, it's the citizens' money, but a lot of people still don't realize that. And people voted this in to go to roads, and it would be nice if, I'm still waiting for a reprieve that this goes back and gets some roads built out of it, and it doesn't end up in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Cincinnati, Ohio, which is where Fry's and Walmart are both based, because it's not their money.
Thank you. Any other questions? Hearing, seeing none. Make it a motion, please, on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 21 as presented.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you very much. Item 22, discussion of board members' requests for future agenda items. I believe we have a few that we've already put forward. Are there any others? Hearing, seeing none. We're off of that. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Yeah. It'd harder if I had a bigger hand.